That makes it even better.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it though?
I thought they were two dogs. Like I thought it was like a mama dog and a puppy or something,
No,
and I
no,
was
it was
like,
it was a,
oh.
it's a really bad crop that I just did really quick.
I mean, well, clearly it's not that bad because I didn't notice at first. Or maybe that's just me.
I tried to fuck with the red to make it blue like your persona's outfit. And it looked really weird, and I was like, I don't like it. So hi guys! Also, I got my new microphone. Yay! I mean, if you watch my videos, Bink no. So yeah, like the title says, as you guys know, if you follow my mine and Bree Pastel Monsters Friday night streams we do every Friday. Her power's out. She's fine. But it's out, and I don't know if it's due to weather or construction or something. But she's like, all I have is my phone, and I can't charge my phone, so
Yeah.
I didn't wanna.
So now I am the stunt Brie.
Yeah, the stunt Brie. So
I am the true understudy. Have I ever told you about that
No.
in theater?
No.
How I okay, cause I'm in theater production, and okay, that's another story too. So I'm in theater production or whatever. So I've done hang on, I'm pulling up the stream so I can get the chat.
It's fine. Oh wait, real quick, let me explain. So what I'm gonna be working on real quick, guys, in stream, is my Secret Santa for the Star Dragon event. I've talked to Morgan about this and a couple of my other friends. I want to have a new chibi style, so I have it in my head of what I want it to look like. So let's see if that's what it is. So I'm not working on a commission or anything, but I'm working on a Secret Santa because I already got mine, and I'm like, Quise, I have to get mine done.
Someone just said Zwodiac's laugh is making it sound like he made her power go out. It was my elaborate scheme. Anyway, so the story is that in theater, because I've done it since I had the opportunity to do theater production, which is the one that actually performs on stage at our school. There's 3 classes in there. So last year, I did 2 different shows, and in both shows, I was a very tiny part at first, but I understudied for pretty decently sized parts. And so for the first show, the person I was understudying for, she got sick during a dress before a dress rehearsal. And she came to school that morning. She was obviously kind of sick, but not sick enough to stay home yet.
Oh yeah.
But I guess she threw up or something. But the thing was, our teacher gave us a message or whatever in our school classroom app or whatever. And I don't check that on the regular. I usually only check it when I'm told to check it. So I wasn't thinking about going to look at that. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm walking into this dress rehearsal all right, time to get my white cake face makeup on to be a snow monster servant person, whatever. And so I was doing that, but I walk in, and this one kid, his name's Ted. He is he's the most beautiful person ever. He's so nice, and he's so funny. And he's just the definition of taking what he gets and working with it. He was my fellow snow servant. I was snow servant number 1, and he was snow servant number 2. But anyway, so I walk into the green room already about to go on autopilot, and he just looks at me and is just like, "Hey Morgan, so you're ready to play Katrina?" Which was my understudy role. And I just stared at him for a second what? What are you talking? Is this a joke? What? And then he's like, did you not look at you're the other person's sick, you got to do it. And I'm like, okay.
Get
so
close.
I had to and obviously it was a dress rehearsal, so it wasn't on stage, but it was night before the show, and we were doing pictures that night, and those are my favorite pictures of myself I've ever had in my life. Because basically the character I was understudying for, she's this crow that helps the main character on her journey, but the way she's written.
Is that the photos you showed us a while ago where you're like fuck yeah, dysphoria, I look like a dude in drag, this is great. Was it that play?
Well, I mean, it's funny because it's those pictures.
Okay. I didn't just because I remember hearing that sentence and be like, I don't think that's a sentence I think I've ever heard. It's
Well, like,
great.
okay, well, I mean, I won't lie. I'll take it because that means I look like I'm a dude dressed up as a woman. So you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah.
Um,
No, again, I
but
didn't mean
anyway,
it as a bad thing. I just
oh
always
no, I
remember that
know.
being funny.
It's so funny to me because so for the audience to know, because the character is playing is she's this crow, but she's supposed to be like a oh shit, what's the word that they use to describe her? Um, she's supposed to be a yenta. So like, so she's like basically she's like Jewish mom crow. That's what she is, and it's
Oh,
so funny.
you mean a babushka?
No, babushka's like that's Russian.
Right. Sorry.
Yenta's like a gossipy
No,
like
you're right.
lady or what, like a gossipy middle-aged woman kind of thing.
Yeah. No, I feel okay. My dumb is showing because my family's Russian Jew. So we were called like I always thought. Okay, that's my fault. My bad. Go ahead.
Whoops. Anyway, but yeah, so it's a very fun character, and I was glad I got to understudy her. I mean, I felt bad because I feel like if that person wasn't in the class, I would have gotten that part hands down. But she was just like 10 times better at it than me. So but like I had no hard feelings against her at all.
Yeah.
But like I got to do her in the show, and I had all the stuff memorized because I mean, what else am I gonna do as a character with no lines? Why
Yeah.
not do my understudy roles? So I knew all the lines, and so I did the entire thing, and it all worked out. There was only like one time where I kind of forgot I was supposed to say something, and it was fine. But the only awkward thing was the fact that I had to wear like my snow servant pants. So I had to wear like my tattered gray pants with my giant feather wings or whatever. But yeah, so the content. But apparently, after it was done, though, our teacher he said that we all just sat down to like share some notes at the very end. And he was just like, "See, now that's what an understudy is supposed to do." And I was so proud of myself. It made me feel good. But the fun thing was when I was putting on the costume and all that, I did the makeup, and I'm pretty good at with like stage makeup. I'd like to think I'm pretty good with stage makeup. At least basic stuff. So, yeah, so that worked out pretty well. But like I was like getting in my costume and I look at myself in the mirror without my wig on because we had this like curly haired wig that she was wearing. And I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I look like a drag queen. I'm like, I don't know, maybe the wig will make me look less so because right now I got like my short, like brown boy hair or whatever. But I put the wig on and I look in the mirror and I'm like, nope, I just look like a drag queen. That's the aesthetic we're going for, I guess.
I'm taking it.
So it was so much fun. But then in that same class, that same year, because we do 2 shows in those classes, one in the first semester and one in the second semester. So I just read the title of your screen.
You're welcome.
Of your stream. Just the Friday Night Stram on my channel because Pastel's power is out, so Zwodiac took her place. Anyway, so yeah, so the same class.
Binks! Stop eating my wires. Oh, I gotta get spray.
Binks, no. So it's the same class, and we were doing A Midsummer Night's Dream. And now there's a few things I could say about that show, and the fact that I was like really hopeful I would actually get a decent part, and then I got one of the many fairies. And I was like, okay, it's fine. It'll be fine, whatever. And I mean, at first I was like,
sorry.
And I mean, over time, I was getting used to the fact, like, well, maybe it's not all that bad with the way the fairies work in how we were doing our interpretation of A Midsummer Night's Dream, which I will say, either way, even if I just had to play the fairy, I got to be a part of the first Shakespeare school play our school ever did. So you know what? I'll take it.
Hey, that's awesome.
But I didn't play a fairy on the show night because like originally I was like, okay, well, the way I'm doing it, I get to like basically kind of sit and watch 90% of the show, like right front and center, like with the best seat in the house, so it's like, whatever, I'll just take it. But then for some reason, the part I was understudying for, or one of the parts I was understudying for, the guy just like disappeared. And like I don't know if he was sick or if like something was going on, but usually he'll tell like our director if he's like, because you're supposed to, but usually he'll say something, but he didn't for some reason. So it's just like for a few dress rehearsals, he was just kind of gone, and so um, it was kind of weird. But anyway, but like my director just came to me like, so hey Morgan, if he's not here tomorrow, like or the next day, just plan on playing that role. And so,
That's right.
oh
Right in the asshole, Binks. That's what you get. You don't have to eat wires.
my God, that was so out of context.
I'm sorry. He keeps eating wires. And we don't want him to get electrocuted. And
I know, yeah.
he's the reason my first mic died. I'm not letting him get away with it this time.
But yeah, so he just disappeared. And the thing was, that role was a part because if anyone knows the story of A Midsummer Night's Dream,
It's a story.
there's a few different plot lines, but like one of them is the fact that there is this theater troupe of like low class, like peasant people, like worker class people. They want to put on a performance for the Duke for his wedding, and they're all obviously not actors. And so at the very end of the show, there's like of A Midsummer Night's Dream, there is a play within a play, and it's like terrible, but it's like hilariously terrible, and it's making fun of Romeo and Juliet, which is like that's meta as fuck. But anyway, so because I mean that's Shakespeare making fun of his own play. But anyway, so yeah, so it's just its own thing. So one of the characters in that troupe, that was what I was understudying for. So I had to change everything I was already doing in the show so I could instead play that part and be a part of that. And it was so much fun. And I was like, and it was funny because at that point I was thinking, you know, I don't think I'm gonna do theater again next year. I don't know if it's really worth it if I feel like I'm not gonna get larger roles or like whatever. Because I mean, I'm not that kind of person. It's like, how dare I not get the lead role? How dare they not recognize my talent? But like at the same time, it's like I keep getting these roles that don't feel like they do anything. You know, I don't. It's just like I don't know if it's really worth it. I could just sort of use that to do something else, or whatever. But then after that, I had like it was just so fun. And I was like, you know what? You know what? I'll go back. I'll go back one more time. Finish off the year.
One more year.
Finish off high school. But so yeah, I understudied in that too. And so I was an understudy twice in a row, and both times I pulled through and I was like, yeah. And did it. So that's my understudy story. So I'm just the super understudy. That's what I am. I am hello, I am Morgan. I am professional understudy. So there we go.
He is epic. I'm just happy. Like, this sounds really weird, especially coming from me because I'm a huge pervert. But like back when I was in high school, the theater kids around my school were known to be very like. This sounds so stupid, but the drama kids were full of drama and like super hoey. There's no nice way to say it.
You're cutting out a little bit, I think.
Oh, am I? Because it says I'm perfectly streaming on my end.
Well, no, but like for your talking to me, it sounds like you're cutting out every now and then in your sentences.
Huh.
I think your stream's probably fine, but like to me, I don't know.
Sure. Let me end and call back. Maybe let's try that.
Yeah, here, we'll just end our call because I think your stream's fine. But
Okay. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
We any better? We good?
Maybe we'll see.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, honestly, if you join any theater class, chances are like 90% of the students are either like bisexual or gay, or at least they're straight, but they are confident enough in their masculinity that they will, or femininity, that they will pretend to be gay.
Well, here's what I mean by it. So that is everything. There's nothing wrong with sleeping around if you're okay with sleeping around. Like, if you guys all just want to have a mass orgy and you're all chill with it, go nuts. I won't join in, but have fun. But, like, when I was in high school, it was drama because it's like, oh my god, so and so slept behind so and so's back, and so thinks they're so shit
Yeah.
that blah, blah, blah. It was like all this like cheating on each other, and so everybody ended up eventually sleeping with each other, but making more drama about it. And I
Yeah,
remember
that's
people were like, oh my god, the high school dramas, that's cute. That's cute. I was on the Amanda show, and we're like, oh, what, as an understudy? Like, where were you? And they're like, I was like audience member number 8 or something, and we're like, so that doesn't even count. Like, what the fuck?
yeah.
I'm not saying to do
We're definitely not like that in our theater. I mean, we have our issues, obviously, as anything would, but like
But no,
half our like
yeah.
sexual jokes are literally just jokes.
But
So,
no,
you know.
yeah, the reason why I bring it up is because in my school there was this couch that everybody knew about, and it was called the theater couch, and everyone knew not to sit on the couch, drop food on the couch, or anything, because that couch, if you put a black light on that couch, it would be Christmas. Like this couch was well known, and the only reason I learned about the couch was because Cody and a bunch of my other friends were in theater, and he once told me, he's like, it's like these people are coming on to me. It's really fucking weird. Like, I tell them I have a girlfriend, they just don't care. And then my friend Brad, he dropped a pizza on the couch, and we didn't know about it, so he ate the pizza off the couch, and we're all just like, dude, no, it's the couch. And I'm just like,
Oh, no.
I'm like, is this normal in other high schools, or is it just my school? Because it seems like every, like, I remember, and it was like a rite of passage if the teacher gave you a key to the fucking stage, because people would be like, I got a key. You know what that means? Time to fuck in the rafters. And like they would do it. They would like have sex on the catwalk and stuff. And I remember being like, that just seems dangerous and not comfortable. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, for all I know, that could happen at other schools in my own district, but like, I don't. Honestly, my school in general is not like. It's really mild. Like, I don't like. I am at a school where it is like considered like totally cool and totally admirable to like go hang out with like the circle of friends like special needs kids.
see,
Like
that's good to hear. I'm happy.
like that says a lot about my school. Honestly, like our biggest problem is probably just like some people do drugs in the bathroom. Like, you know.
You mean like every high school?
Yeah, exactly. Or like some people vape or whatever, as in like every high school right now. So, you know, I mean, we really ain't that bad. Like, I kind of lucked out in that department. So, yeah, but I mean, in in our theater class though, I love theater as a whole because just because like we have a whole thing we have in our green room, and we can't, it's like so overflowing, we can't even fit like anything more on there unless we make room. But we have a wall called like things you only hear in theater, and it's just a bunch of out of context quotes. Like,
oh my god.
like it's stuff like one of them's there, it's just like, somebody get bacon for her boobs.
Wait, what?
Yes, that is a quote on there. I can't even remember what the context, because that was probably the class I wasn't in. I know one that I was in there for. It was like, it's just like, hey mom, they casted me as the priest, but I'm Jewish.
Fuck. Fuck, beautiful. Love it.
It's so great.
So wholesome. Where was this shit? Then again, I don't
so
know.
great.
This sounds so stupid, but like, because like smartphones weren't really a thing back in my school, so I remember being
Right.
like, huh, who would have thought the smartphone era kids were better off than my era kids?
See, part of me just wonders if it's because like, because I mean, I understand the idea that like of how internet can be bad, and I do believe it can be bad if people don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
But I also I extremely am against the idea of like, internet is bad. Don't do anything internet. I think we should much rather like educate people how to be smart on the internet, and how to like, hey, if someone says stupid shit online, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
As opposed to tell people like, no, internet bad, don't use internet, you know.
Oh my god, okay, so that happened at Cody's school, right? So Cody had a bunch of students come up to him and be like, oh, Mr. Marcus, so-and-so's copying off of me. And he's like, well, you're paying over 70 grand a year to come here. Tell him to stop. And that might sound mean, but a lot of the other teachers are like, this isn't high school. People are paying to be taught here. Like, and if that's the case, just be like, hey, can I just do my project on my own? And then let them do a project on his own. Like, Cody was in the right here. Because, like, I told him that way. It's like, well, you shouldn't have said that. And Cody's like, no, these are adults. Yes, some of them are 17, but, like, there was this one lady in his class who, I'll call her... I'll talk to the manager name.
Karen.
Okay, so we'll call her Karen. Because her name's definitely not Karen. So, Karen was like, oh my god, the kids nowadays are so lazy and and like the definition of like a millennial freaking
that kind of mom.
And like, oh blah blah blah, these kids aren't gonna do anything and and Cody was like, all right, Karen, how old do you think I am? And she's like, well, you know, you got your stuff together. You're like 30, 40, and he's like 26. and just like she was like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, I'm 26 and I got my shit together. And a lot of kids here, granted, the ones who just think you're gonna be here to get a good paycheck, they're gonna fail. Because especially in this industry, in almost every industry, word of advice, guys, if you're going into any industry in the workforce, just because you'll think it'll give you benefits or money, and like, no, you have no passion for it, you actually openly hate it, you're just doing it to be like, oh, well, I'll make shit tons of money, or I'll always have a job, or this and that, you're gonna not last long in that industry. Because
or at the very least you won't go anywhere.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's not that, you know, like, obviously sometimes you gotta do shit you don't want to do. This is a given. But, you know, you're not gonna go anywhere if you stick to something. If you have how do I word this right? Cody worded as, from how he described it, was like, you have to have some sort of passion in what you do, or else you're not gonna last. You're not. Because you're eventually gonna get stuck in monotony and you're gonna want to get something different. And then when you can't get anything different because you're stuck with this one thing forever, you're gonna start becoming very bitter because that kind of thing. You know, you like a lot of people I know, they really, really, really want to be self-employed, but they don't really want to be self-employed when they've talked to me and stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it must be great being your own boss, and and I'm like, oh yeah, it's great, and I love it, but like, you know, you have to be strict on yourself, you have to give yourself deadlines, you have to like actually treat it like a job. And they'll be like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I don't get to just dick around all day.
Oh yeah.
And make money. Like, I have to do my job.
Yeah, you actually have to, you still kind of have to have some kind of schedule or you'll never get anything done.
Yeah. I am, like, not getting these horns to look right. It's bothering me. Do you ever have that issue with horns where you're like, ugh?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It happens all the time. Especially, like, it's also weird when I have to do, like, the, like, ram horn kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just, for some reason, my brain has a hard time, like, wrapping my head around, okay, what direction are they going? Like, hang on.
Yeah, exactly. But like, no, like, the whole point of my, like, tangent is because I get a lot of people, I don't know if you get this, but I get a lot of people who are like, oh my god, I want to be a commission artist because I don't want a real job. And I've actually had people
which you can't
tell me that.
Do
that. And I'm like, that's not how it works. And then they're like, oh, well, so-and-so only needs to take, like 2 commissions a year. And I'm like, yeah, that's so-and-so. That's
so-and-so that's been doing this for, like, 50 years and, like, you know.
Like, let's be real. If Rebecca Sugar on Twitter was like, hey, I'm doing commissions, you can bet your ass she can name any price, people are going to pay it, and they would fill up no matter what because she has the name behind it.
Hang on. Good Mooney has done super pitch chat. It's very important.
God damn
Cowboy
it!
goes moo.
God damn it! I'm never going to get that live down, am I? Ever.
I never. Cowboy goes moo. Oh, goodness. is my favorite. But yeah, no, I like because I totally agree. Because I think like me from a personal, because I mean honestly, like doing freelance stuff, it is just as like because just like any other job too. Um, if you do a job long enough, if you do it high, and long enough, and you get high enough in there, you barely have to do shit. You know. That's why everyone gets super mad. Where it's like, why does it look like the managers get to slack off and sit around? You know.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like, well, because they've gotten this far, you know. Um, but like it's with commission work too. It's just as much as a job. The only difference is you don't have someone like telling you what to do. You
Exactly.
have to figure out what you're doing on your own.
Exactly. And that being said,
So
that also means like when I tell people I'm like, ah, shit, this is a hard month, and then they're like, oh, well, just open up for more slots, and I'm like,
like no, if you can't get your done,
yeah, that gives me more work that I'm not getting done.
yeah, it doesn't just increase the amount of money you get.
Yeah.
Because I mean, again, like I think I could, if I were to sit down and try it, I think I could totally do freelance, and I think just for me, I think that kind of stuff would just work better for the personality I have.
Yeah.
And that's not even from a whole I don't like talking to people personality, but it's just more from a just how I function kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I can't because I need health benefits.
Yeah.
So I have to become a millionaire so I can do freelance.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, because you totally could have health benefits, being freelance, but that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, well, it's like because I right now I'm a tidy bean and like not even out of school quite yet. So
I know.
although the senioritis is hitting me hard. I mean,
It hits everybody hard.
oh well, I mean, here's the thing. I think I started to get senioritis like in junior year, just with how I treated some things. But now I'm like at the point where I'm like, no, I don't want to do anything. Just leave me alone. Like,
I'm 18. I make money. Ah!
ugh, God, I just
first world problems. No, no. Oh, I'm making fun, but my little brother, who's your age, is going through the same thing. He
yeah,
graduated last year though, so this is like his first
yeah.
year at college, and he was saying how like his senioritis hit him hard too because he, like you, didn't have a period at the end. Because you get out early, right? Because he didn't have a sixth period.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah. So see, it's the same thing. So
Yeah.
he would be like, "Oh, what do I do with my time now?" And then he's like, "Oh, I can play games and I can stream and I can do whatever I want." And then he's also like, "Why do I even go to school at this point? I already got into college, like, and I'm like, you gotta
Well,
finish.
see,
Just
that's why I
finish."
think a lot of people get. Honestly, that's probably where I think like senioritis comes from. Is just that they make you do all the college stuff so quickly that like you get into college, you're like, okay, well, what's the point of finishing school at this point?
No,
Like,
I completely agree. Oh, okay, I think that's the gemstone. Sorry, like I'm talking to myself because this Star
yeah.
Dragon. I'm like, is that a marking or a gemstone? But then I'm looking at the type and I'm like, that should be a marking or a gemstone. Fucking, I'm making it a
Yeah,
gemstone. It's hard to tell.
I need to do so. I mean, thankfully, like where I'm going, I think I can hopefully like there I can make like connections so I can actually get like a decent job
Yeah.
or something. I mean, I definitely got a portfolio going, so hey, but I mean, I think like that's probably one of the best like compliments I've gotten like in recently. It made me feel so good when I'm like sitting there in that interview and like they look at my portfolio and they're like, because you have to do like a basic little test just to see can you follow instructions and can you survive doing anything in Maya without like imploding. Um,
Oh, I fucking
you know,
I hate Maya. Good luck with that.
oh, I've already used Maya.
I
Trust
know.
me,
I know.
I know.
It's
Screams into a nebula.
it's terrible.
No, see, this is how you know. Well, because Maya is magical when it wants to work with you, and you can do magical things when it wants to work with you. But I like, see, I knew I was in a place that just kind of they understand things when the person monitoring my test sees me struggling with Maya, and it's like, oh, is Maya being difficult again?
That's always good. That is always good
Yes,
though.
but like, yeah, so they do that little test basically where it's literally like the easiest shit because it's like step by step, just do this, this, and this, like really basic.
Uh huh.
And so they have to do that, but we were doing our interview first, and I was sitting there like, and they were just looking through some of my stuff in my portfolio, and they basically said, "Well, the test is kind of just a formality at this point."
Well,
It's just like,
I think
yeah.
something that they should really change, and this sounds dumb, is I feel like they should have the acceptance process and everything in fucking May when people are out of school
Mm-hmm.
instead of the because that happened to a friend of mine. A friend of mine when I was in high school, he got senior artist hard and he ended up losing his scholarship because of it. Was because he was an honors student and then beginning of the fucking year he got accepted into Cal State, one of the really big ones, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like, I'm already in. Why the fuck should I even try? So he dicked around the entirety of his senior year. He was still able to
Mm-hmm.
graduate, but when he went to like register, they're like, no, your senior year you got D's the entirety of your senior
Yeah.
year.
See, like, ugh, God, and I know like why they can't do that. They have to do it early because the colleges need time to sort through things and
Yeah.
like get everything ready for whenever summer rolls around and they can start like getting people in and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And people start moving and all that. But like at the same time, I'm like, see, this is almost why I feel like what should be you know what, honestly, like I wouldn't mind going to school like for a 13th year or like for 12th grade and go to like 13th grade
Yeah.
if that 13th grade was literally like dedicated to like teaching you life skills and like getting you into schools,
No, I completely agree because here's one
because that
thing.
would be
So,
genius and that would be practical,
yeah,
like,
exactly. And that should be something that the tax dollars pay for, like public school.
hmm
What I feel like is because ironically enough, I was talking about this with my friends at the birthday party.
yeah.
Was how like there was this teacher when I was in high school, and
Hang on real
everybody
quick, someone just mentioned he dicked around and got all D's. Ha.
ha doesn't help my friend.
Ha.
Doesn't help. He's also gay. No, I'm kidding.
Ha.
I mean, he is gay though, so that's what's great. But anyway, I gotta tell him that joke. He's gonna like fucking die.
That's great.
But no, we were talking about how there was this teacher, and I'll call him Mr. Frappuccino because I'm drinking a frappuccino. So everybody hated Mr. Frappuccino because he was like well known at my school for he was very very nice, but he was one of the hardest English teachers you could have. And so everybody like
hmm
hated him because he was super hard. But like what's funny, right? So Cody had Mr. Frappuccino. Same thing. He hated him. He hated him like everybody else did because it's like, oh, everyone else was getting like normal book reports and he would give us like really hard reports. And so I never had him, but Cody did. And then Cody's like, but the second I went to technical school, I was so happy I had Mr. Frappuccino. Same with everybody who had him who went to like college. They were like, he actually prepared us for college level English reports.
Yeah.
So like
Like,
that's what I think is really fucking stupid. Is I'm like, wait, why is the public school system that's supposed to prepare people to go to college not teaching them,
hmm
especially their senior year, the way they're gonna have to be doing essays in college? Because that
yeah,
was
and
me
like,
for the little bits of time I was in college. When I was in college and I took English classes, they're like, "Oh, you need to do your papers in APA format, MLA format, and like there was one other format." And I was like, "I don't know what any of these formats are." And it wasn't
hmm
just me; like nobody else did. And they're like, "Oh, they didn't teach that in high school." It's like, no, they fucking didn't.
God, I don't even know. The school system's confusing. Like, I'm honestly glad that I'm like going
Almost
to a
free.
more like technical school than I'm going to like an actual college
Yeah.
because like I don't think I could. I think like a normal college would just drive me insane with everything
Well, here's the
because
thing
it would
that
be,
here's the thing that I think is stupid, and it's also why I'm happy you're going to a technical school, is
yeah.
because
I mean, I don't even know if this would technically classify as a technical school. That's just what I keep calling it because it's not a college, but it's not like it's a school that teaches you how to do that industry
that's a technical
and the
school.
things in that industry, but it's more like, okay, listen, all the teachers here have been in like have done this stuff before. Like they've worked in this
No,
industry.
no, Morgan, that's
They're not
that.
just people who got they're not just people who got a degree and like said, "Okay, here I go."
Yeah, no,
Like,
no, no. That is a technical school. That's what Cody works at. That's what it's
okay, good.
considered. That's what
Yay.
it's considered.
But yeah.
So again, not that I'm knocking college. I feel like if someone wants to go to college, they should be able to go to college. I've always felt that way.
Yeah.
But that being said,
Oh yeah, I think college for some people is like perfect for them, and I
yeah,
totally support that.
yeah. Again, that being said, a big issue with it is how, like I was saying, we're not teaching them to do the college level stuff. So you're sending them to college level stuff. So in normal college, because this happened to my brother's friends, because my brother took a lot of AP classes. And then over the summer, he took classes over the summer. So when he actually started college, he was taking college level courses. All of his other friends who got into the same school he did, they were taking literally the same classes they were taking senior year, but in college, because they didn't pass the requirements. Like, I already know all this stuff, but I didn't get just enough in this test. So your first 2 years of college are really just catch up, and then usually the last 2 years are when you actually do your like thing. And I think that needs to change, especially when like people are going into all this debt for catch up. That's not fair.
Especially because like people will go into debt over college and then they can't even get a decent job, you know?
Exactly, to pay
Which
off the
sucks.
debt. To pay off the
Which I
debt.
know isn't entirely, it's not like that's college's fault necessarily, you know?
Yeah.
It's just kind of job industry stuff, but
Yeah.
like, it's just disappointing.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of glad that it's an era where nowadays college is becoming like less and less of a necessity. And that's also why I'm thankful that right now most of my like top career choices are things that are portfolio based. So even if like I go to the school and for some reason my brain is just kind of like, you know what? No, I'm gonna do voice acting. That I can. Voice acting is not something I necessarily need to have a degree for. So you know.
Well, that's exactly it. Is back when. How do you know how old your mom is? By any chance?
She's 50, I think. She's like 50 or 49.
Okay, so she's a little younger than my parents. My parents are in their 60s. But my parents
Maybe
waited
51,
to have
I don't know,
kids,
but
so.
Yeah.
Well, I know she's younger than my parents. That's why I
Yeah,
asked.
she's definitely younger than your parents.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, in like your mom's generation and my mom's generation, if you had a college degree, you had a job. It didn't fucking matter. My dad, something my dad always told me was his manager, because my dad never got a college degree. My dad's manager had a college degree, and this was the guy who was the lead physician, the lead foreman at a Target warehouse, and he had a master's in physical education. I'm not knocking it, but the only reason he got his job over someone who actually knew what they were doing was because he had that piece of paper that said so. You know, and now we live in an age where that piece of paper, it's not even a guaranteed job anymore, because that was it. Back then it was like, go to college, you're definitely getting a job. But now with the, you were probably too young to remember this, because I know my brother was, but like, yeah, because you would have been around like 8 or so. When the economy crashed, was like right when I was like in the middle of high school. And when I was in high school, a lot of people were losing their houses. A lot of people were trying to find, like back in the era of having a part-time job in high school, like no one in my high school had a job. And it wasn't from lack of trying. Like a lot of us did try to get part-time jobs, but there was nothing. And then right after that, that's when it was really hard to find any job, because at least in California, this I know is different in other states, but when I was trying to look for a job, the only reason I got my teacher's aide job was because my friend's mom was a teacher, so I had an in. Because I had been applying,
It's about who you know half the time.
Exactly. I didn't have any help at all, and it sucked. And so what ended up happening was, because of Obamacare here, a lot of places got fucked over because they were like, oh, okay. Now, again, in principle, Obamacare was a great thing. But there are a lot of people who abused the fuck out of it, which made it a not so great thing.
Yep.
And so,
what happened was... It's not even Obamacare's fault.
It's not, exactly, which is why I get pissed off when people, like, blame Obama for that. I'm like, that's not what he wanted. What he wanted...
Thanks, Obama.
...was universal health care, which we kind of should have. I do think we should have universal health care. I would feel so much happier paying higher taxes knowing that I didn't go into debt if I was in a car crash. You know what I mean? Like, I would not complain about that. But anyway, they were like, okay, Obamacare is when you work full-time, they have to give you insurance. And then the bigger companies were like, oh, that's understandable. Yeah, we'll do that. That makes sense. But people like me, who were in, royalty jobs, fuck, retail jobs, they were like, oh, we can't pay these people insurance. We're a fucking McDonald's, we're a Subway. These people are making less than minimum wage. Like, we can't afford to give everybody health insurance. So we're just gonna cut hours. So it was very, very common when I was around your age, because I graduated when I was 18, to where you would see people who were like, yeah, I work 4 days a week. Or not 4 days a week, 4 hours a week. Oh, I have a maximum shift of 8 to 16 hours for an entire week.
Yeah.
And then people would apply for other jobs, but then they'd be like, oh no, our schedules are always changing. So, like, that was a hard thing for me when I was going to school and I was working part-time, was because I tried looking for other work, and it was like, oh, okay, well, we change our schedule every week or every 2 weeks, but we will not work with other companies. And that's what really pissed me off, because, like, there was a time where I was working technically 3 jobs and doing commissions and going to school. And neither of my 3 jobs would have schedules that would coincide with each other. So, like, I would get one 2 weeks in advance. So I'd be like, okay, I can't work these days on these shifts because I'm scheduled for another thing. And they're like, oh, well, then you don't have to work here. And it wasn't just me. It was happening to a lot of people. And so, because of that, it was a very, very hard time.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is why I'm glad I'm kind of having the opportunity I have. And, like, especially nowadays, because had I, like, been growing up, I've, like a few decades ago or something, like, you know, me doing all the art stuff, I'm sure would be, like, you know, couldn't really do what I do now. So... It's really nice to have an era where it's like art is far more appreciated than it was as like a job.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is, like, you know, it's funny because, like, I have some friends who have been bitter about me recently, and it's been like kind of like showing their true colors, because it's and I'm glad I like cut them out, but like they were like, well, we weren't all as lucky as you. I'm like, luck had nothing to do with it.
Oh yeah,
I've been doing this shit for years.
Yeah, and it's the same with any skill, really. And also, I actually saw. Hang on, I need to find this because I found a picture that I thought was really funny that just kind of just mentioned something about our school system that I think is rather interesting.
But that's what I was trying to say was, like, I'm so happy that, like, again, we live in probably right now is the best time to be self-employed than any other generation. And so that's why I'm like, people need to stop bitching. You can do it. It's just, it's hard. I just need to go through this school, and I need to find some really good, like, job as a concept artist. That's the goal right now. Like, well, you'd be surprised how many places have internships. So
yeah, well, no, I'm sure, and the place I'm going, I can get connections there, I'm sure. So, but yeah, so the thing I found was, like, if artistic people are forced to take years of math and science, then why don't sciencey people take art and music classes? And if you're bad at art and music, then it's okay. Not everyone has an aptitude for those kinds of things. But if you're bad at math and science, then you're not smart and you're not trying hard enough.
I hate that. I've always hated that.
Me too.
Because, like, okay, so because of my dyslexia, right, it pissed a lot of people off because they're like, this makes no sense. Why is it you're terrible at science, but you're good at math? And I'm like, you can't lie with math. Math is just there. Trust me, it sounds weird, but I was one of the rare kids.
That's another thing that bugs me about, like, the school system and stuff, is that it really seems to value a specific kind of smart.
Yeah.
And it's not like, because there's so many different kinds of ways you can be intelligent.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes, again, like, not all smart people are smart in every field. Like, you know, just because you're smart doesn't mean you make smart decisions all the time. And it's like, you know, like, again, like, some very, very smart people in the world can't navigate a social situation for shit.
Oh,
and then, like, some people who are super good at, like, charismatically, like, weaving their way into things and, like, making connections and stuff, they could be, like, the dumbest person ever when it actually comes to actual, like, work and stuff like that. And then, like, you know, some people are geniuses, but they have no common sense. So it's like, you know,
that's like one of my brothers. So I'm calling out my brothers now, but he doesn't watch my stuff. So I have this one brother who he is extremely book smart. His common sense He's gotten better over the years, but for years his common sense was just non-existent. And by that it was
Yeah.
like, and I felt bad, but I remember it was one of those where like he asked me for advice on something, and I'm like, that's really dumb. Don't do it. And he did it anyway. And then when it blew up in his face, he got super mad at all of us because we kind of pulled the "I told you so" because this was dumb. This was like a whole new level of dumb. So
Yeah.
it was an online relationship that was less than a month old, and he decided to move cross country to be with this relationship that he'd only known for a month online.
Yep.
And then when it blew, and it literally blew up in his face. I did feel bad, but I'm also like, you've only known this person.
It's
a
like you
month.
feel bad, but you're like, "Ugh, everyone told you." Like,
Yeah, and
I mean, honestly, something I've learned with people is you can only tell them, like, not like you can only try to teach someone something so many times before you're like, okay, you know what? Go learn the lesson on your own.
yeah.
Because sometimes people will only learn that way.
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Can't have chibi nipples. No, sorry, I'm focusing on the picture. Because like this outfit like kind of confuses me, and I'm like,
Oh yeah. Well, it's a lot of straps.
it
Like,
has a lot of strappies. So I'm like, okay,
yeah, but like, because I mean, because I've noticed that, because like, just my own personal evaluation, I definitely think I'm someone who's like, I'm definitely not like very technical and smart. Like, I can't remember numbers for shit. Like, I even said this, like, I'd like to think I'm good at debate. From what I've heard from most people older than me, like that I respect their opinions on the subject, I'm really good at debate. And I'm really good at getting my point across to where I can be very agreeable. But the thing is, when it comes to logos, I got nothing. Like, I can't remember statistics. I don't have the energy to do a lot of research, like into statistics and stuff like that. It's just that kind of stuff like turns me off so fast. But at the same time, I'm very good at making ethos and pathos arguments. And I'm also like, this is something my English teacher even told me. So the way she words it just makes sense. Where it's like, I'm very good at talking about something and discussing my side on something without alienating half the people in the room.
that's good.
And which I think is something that I'm like, yes, thank you. Someone knows what I'm going for. because okay, I know this is like off topic of what we're even talking about.
It's fine.
But like, oh God, I understand where people come from when they say like, I'm just speaking my mind, and
Oh
you
wait,
know,
wait,
like,
wait. Are you trying to say the like I'm just honest people?
yeah, or either that or the people who try to say like, it's just like we can't, like, don't be like, if you're just nice to somebody, then it's like why would you be just like nice to people? That's so, passive, whatever. Where people like, they talk about like, they make it sound like being nice to someone is like somehow a weak thing,
Yeah.
or like that you shouldn't be nice or show people human decency when you disagree with them. And
Oh
I'm sitting here
yeah.
like,
Okay.
and then I'm sitting here and it's like weird how when you're nice to people, that's when you can change minds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's almost like sometimes not just being a total asshole actually can make people join your side.
No. Okay. Honestly.
Weird.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
Okay. So on that argument, right? So we're gonna get political here, guys. Okay.
oh boy.
It's so a bit.
Guy wants to be nice because Sky likes being nice. Go be nice, Sky.
Yeah, go be
nice
nice.
is a good thing.
Go be nice, exactly. And that's something I've always felt was like you need to be fucking nice to people. Like, okay, so when I used my example, and I forget which video I was saying, which video it was a more recent one, where I was talking about how like people would say like get on a table and like yell at your racist grandparents or something.
Yeah.
And people were like, that's a little extreme. I'm like, I've literally seen this. I've seen it. I have seen it in public, in real life. So, what it was I was at a mall with some friends, and there was an older couple. Now, to be fair, I don't know what this older couple said. I don't. But I saw this. I'll call them a girl because I don't know what their gender was, but they were dressed very feminine. And she was standing on a table in the middle of this mall, pointing at this elderly couple, where the elderly woman was crying, and they were trying to leave, and she was cussing them the fuck out, and people were taking pictures and laughing at the chick screaming at them. And I'm just like, wow. It's almost like when you act like a monster, people don't want to get on your side.
It's almost like when you're just kind of mean to people,
Yeah.
even if they might have agreed with you, they just kind of are turned away from siding with you because you just have an unpleasant personality.
Exactly. Because.
Like that's how I get when I watch Survivor sometimes. Because sometimes those people, there'll be those people who it's like they make a decent point, but you're like, oh, I don't want to agree with you because I don't like you. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. And
like that's what it is. And it's like, because I've just learned that, sometimes, and the thing is, at the end of the day, if you make an argument with someone or if you argue with someone and you come at things calm and you come at things just like compassionate, at the end of the day, even if they don't agree with you, everyone who saw you debating
is gonna
makes it seem like
respect you
you're a
so
more
much.
rational and reasonable person.
Yeah.
Like,
and what I'm trying to say, what I was trying to say with my example and everything, and the whole thing is,
yeah.
I wholeheartedly believe that's why Trump won. Because I don't know how big it was in other states, but out here, okay, so I did not vote when I was 18, or I was over 18. I remember I was really excited. Obama was running for president again, and I was very excited to vote, and I was going to vote for Obama. And I remember I was in my college campus, and I was eating my lunch, and this group of guys came into the room, right? Didn't think anything of it until they went around and was screaming at people to be like, you're voting for Obama, right? Or are we going to have an issue? And like they were literally attacking people in the lunchroom when no one was talking about politics. No one was doing anything. Half the people were like me, just trying to eat our fucking lunch and do our work. And they were screaming at people. Screaming at people. And I remember thinking in my head, there's no point in voting because Obama's going to win this time around. I wanted him to win, but I'm like, if this is happening here, in a junior college, who knows how many places this is happening. And so I told a couple of my friends that I'm not voting. And they were like, no, Michelle, don't be in that mindset. Nah. And I'm like, no, if there are people like this who are openly attacking people, and by attacking people, I mean security had to escort him out because some guy said he was going to vote for Romney, and they started a fight. Like, they started literally beating the crap out of this guy. And so then, when the Trump shit was going around, I saw the same thing again. Now, I wasn't in school, but I remember Cody and I would be, like, out in public somewhere, and if people were wearing the stupid Make America Great Again hats, there would be fights in the streets. There would be... I had friends who were like, who are you voting for? Who are you voting for? I'm like, I don't know yet. And they're like, what do you mean you don't know? Are you an idiot? Don't be an idiot.
Like,
don't vote. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, okay, like, here's the thing, too. Because on that, that's, like, wholeheartedly why I think that Trump won, was because people voting for Hillary got so, like, people were so violent and so adamant, like, how if you dare vote for Trump, or if you dare say you're going to vote for Trump, I'm like, you are alienated. I no longer see you as a person. I'm going to be, like, mean to you, and you're going to be, like, disowned by people. So people supporting Trump said, like, I'm just going to sit back here and just not get involved.
I'm just not going to.
So
I'm not going to tell.
Trump had significantly more supporters than people knew about because they just weren't voicing it because they didn't want to get fucking attacked.
And that's exactly it. And the thing is, too, is it's like, when people would try to give a debate, they would say the same buzzwords that you hear today. And it got to the point where it was like, my friend said it perfectly, because my friend who voted for Hillary was like, the reason why he won was because the second you're alone in that poll, there's no one screaming at you. There's no one telling you what to do. It's just you and your vote. And then when Trump won, I really wasn't surprised, because I'm like...
Oh, yeah, I wasn't... I was a little bit surprised, but, like, really not all that much. Like, although the reactions to it were, like, astonishing to me, because I'm like, are these actual adult human beings right now?
Oh my god,
like,
don't even get me started on that. There were friends of mine on Facebook who were making posts where they were, like, literally like, oh my god, I had to call off of work because I'm afraid if I leave my house I'm murdered. And I'm like, wait, why the hell do you think you're gonna get murdered? And they're like, because I'm a white person and Trump won. And I'm like, And this sounds terrible, but my dad said it perfectly. My dad's like, for the people who are really, really freaking out about this, if you're actually racist, then you should be freaking out. But like, if you're not, why the hell do you like care? Unless you're actively a racist.
It's just it's so
I don't know. It just
it's so like I mean, okay, here's the thing too though. I will say this because a lot of people seem to like, be like, "Man, we live in such like a weird time right now. Like everything's all like fucked or whatever." And like honestly, if you really look into history and not just the glorified parts of it,
yeah.
history's always been fucked.
Oh yeah.
Like to be honest.
Always. I mean, and
Like,
another thing too is like, on the racist topic. So
oh boy.
back, I'll use Disney as a magical example. Okay, so a lot of people who grew up with Disney movies, like myself, loved a lot of the classics. Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, a lot of the classics. And a lot of people are going around like, oh my god, if you liked Peter Pan, you hate Native Americans. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, oh, don't get me wrong. Why is the Red Man Red a very racist song? That is a very racist song now. But back then, that was normal. Like, something I really liked was old school Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny cartoons. If you get, like, a DVD thing now, they'll actually have a thing that'll say, like, we understand that these are products of the time they were made in. While they are not correct now, please respect the people who did work hard in those days. I'm like, so that's a respectable way to do it.
Yeah, because the thing is, too, it's like, you can't really, because, I mean, there's a difference between, like, watching something and believing it wholeheartedly, but, like, at the same time, you can watch something and enjoy something and ignore the fact that, like, it was made in a certain time period and in that context, that kind of thing was normal, whatever. Like, okay, what's hilarious is, like, if people from, like, back in the day, like, saw some of the shit they were doing now, they'd be like, why is this woman wearing shorts?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
It's a matter of the times. Like, it's just context.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make things right by any means.
Oh, it doesn't.
But
it doesn't. But it's.
That doesn't mean you can't enjoy something for the things that aren't bad.
Exactly. And I think the thing is too is it's like, what I was trying to say is like, remember when something is a product of the times compared to now? It's like, okay, so I've talked about this before. In one of my favorite games, BioShock Infinite, it takes place in an alternate universe America where you go to a steampunk flying city in the air. All right?
Yeah.
A lot of people were very uncomfortable with this game because it's got some very racist undertones, but it's played up in a natural fucked up sense that it was back then, where like there's a part where you're literally going through and it says like colored bathroom only and stuff, and like you go through it and you have to get through here and you're like, oh, this is really gross. But then it's also like, yeah, back then that was normal and it was gross, and that's why we don't have them anymore. And so whenever people are like, oh, if you like that game, you're a racist, I'm like, what? No, it's showing you a product of the time. It's why, like, now I'm not a big war buff. Funny, because one of my main stories has war in it. Cody was telling me how pissed off he was about the Battlefield or Modern Warfare, whichever the new one that came out. That
I think it was Battlefield or something.
Where they had women soldiers on the front lines, and everybody was like, wait, why don't we so they're the Russian sniper women, right? The ones that were like in history, these beautiful strong Russian sniper women that took out fucking Nazis, and they're like, no, we have a paraplegic white British lady through here, and everyone's like, wait, that didn't make sense in history. When if you want to have that in a game, but don't market your game as we did all this historically accurate research to make the game as historically accurate as possible, to then not make it historically accurate.
Yeah.
Because it feels...
I don't know.
Well, to me, what I'm trying to say is...
I'll definitely say this.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of magical, because sometimes if you just learn to, like, kind of ignore things and not go to places you know are going to enrage you, kind of live a generally happier life, to be honest.
Oh, exactly. That's one of those things.
People don't, I wish more people would understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I understand the idea that like just saying like, oh, don't like it, don't involve. And I understand like I also understand the like idea that some things need to change and you should be a part of that change sometimes. But I
Mm-hmm.
think when it comes to like really little things, you don't have to get into an argument with every other person you meet, you
Oh,
know?
exactly,
You really
exactly.
don't. And your life will be a lot more happier and a lot less stressful if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to fight with everyone who says something you disagree with. Like, really.
Exactly. And that's another thing too is like because some people would tell me stuff like, "Oh, why didn't you just fight your in-laws on certain stuff?" And I'm like, "I was living there. That would have been a worse hell because it's like you're talking to a brick wall. You know,
Hmm.
sometimes it sucks, but it's better just to shut your mouth and grin and bear it
Yeah.
than to have to deal
It's
with
like,
more BS in the future."
I mean, obviously, you shouldn't let certain things happen, obviously.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
that's just
yeah.
a given. But, like, if somebody's going, like, I swear there was, like, an example of this at one point. But, like, I think there was, like, some example of this of real life where someone just said, like, a small one-off comment that could have been interpreted as something like that would have irritated me, but I was just kind of like, yep, I'm like not worth the argument. Like,
Yeah.
it's just stuff like that. But yeah, it's life is something else, that's for sure.
I don't know. I feel just like yeah. I debate a lot on my channel and I vent a lot, but
Yeah.
I'm overly not a negative person. I like to
Hmm.
take
Well,
bad
that's
things and like try to find good parts in them. So like all the terrible shit that's happened to me this past year. Yeah, it
yeah.
sucks. But am I laying in bed crying about all the shit that happened this year? No,
Hmm.
I'm learning from it and I'm taking bad experiences and I'm not ignoring the bad experiences, but I'm trying to take
Yeah.
those bad experiences and learn from them to make better choices in the future. And I feel like a lot of people try to like just put themselves in this like bubble where they're like scared of this kind of well scared's not a good word. Like I see people who talk about like wanting to do things, but then they themselves come up with excuses to not do it. And then I tell them like we already know the worst outcome. So
Hmm.
why don't you try for a chance that the good outcome can happen? And then
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten to the point where like now that I'm older, I'm not even that fucking old, where I'm like I've had to like cut a lot of people out this year because it sounds bad, but like I was around a lot of negative people that were like negative in every single fucking way, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
I'll try to tell them a good thing or I'll bring their spirits up and they would just bash me back down to where I'm like, okay, why did I even try? Like there
Hmm.
was an artist friend
And
of
like,
mine who was asking me for advice. I gave them advice and they were like, "Well, I'm just poor. I can't do that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't have a lot of money either, and it doesn't take a lot of money to do." I'm like, "Hey, you know that new video game that you bought? That was $60 you could have used towards the thing you're trying to get."
hmm,
Like you know, that's kind of a thing. When you want to do stuff, you gotta pick and choose what
it's
you
okay.
do.
Yeah, it's okay though. All those people you cut out, they've been replaced by me. Haha.
You're all of my new
Anyway.
people now.
Ha, they have fused into just me.
Fuck. But no,
Um,
like that's something I'm
anyway,
super
yeah.
happy with. Like all the friends I met at San Japan, and all the people I met, and just all
Yeah.
the good things that have been happening so far. This sketch is taking
Sometimes,
me so
sometimes you
much
just
longer.
gotta let people do their own thing and just
Exactly,
kind of,
and that's
you
exactly
don't you don't have to change every person's mind that you come across.
exactly, and that's what I
Sometimes you can just let live and let be unless they're actually hurting somebody.
exactly.
So
Then you get the popo involved.
yeah, then you call the popo and everything goes down.
um, I'm trying to make this chibi stuff. Like, this is not as how I saw it. Maybe I think I made her arm too long. I think that's it. It's coming out cute. I'm just like,
There was I can if we need a new conversation topic. I can just rant about like I think it was not Monday. It might have been yeah, I think it was Tuesday in my theater class. I was on like my last nerve.
I mean,
Like
yeah, sure. I mean, we don't have to always vent. It could just be whatever. Yeah, let's talk.
I know.
That's a
Well, no,
Bree and I
it
do.
was
Yeah,
it's kind of funny, but it was just like everything all together. I was just like, help. I'm gonna scream. Like
I'm a
uh
scrim.
because so like I love my theater class, but some people in there, are it's like anything else in life. You just got some people in there that get on your nerves sometimes, and I'm not gonna out any of them because I'm still in class with them. So whatever, I have to make up a bunch of names, but
It's fine.
so
Like I said, I love using inanimate objects for names, so
yeah,
it makes it easier.
so in my theater class, so it was like we were working on this thing where we're trying to make a video, or we're trying to make two videos for like incoming freshmen
Hmm.
so that they can like have like see if they want to be a part of theater or whatever and like whatnot, whether it's tech or acting. And so we're trying to work on those. And I'm kind of like not helping very much just because there's already so many people and it's so chaotic that I'm like, I don't want to make this worse. Like, I don't want to make this more stressful on everyone. So I'll just kind of chill. But anyway, but on this particular day, there were like a few things that just started happening that I was like driving me insane and like ever so progressively. So for one thing, we have this group of girls in class and they're all sophomore girls. So it's like in theater, that's the first year you can join production. So they're basically the first years of the theater class. So
Yeah.
but they're all sophomores and there's four of them, but two of them aren't really as bad. Really, they know how to be mature, but like two of them, we'll call them I don't know, we'll just call them Mindy and Cindy, I guess. I don't know, because I'm just counting them as one unit at this point.
Okay.
Uh, but like just Mindy and Cindy, they like oh that group has no volume control. None. Like their indoor voice is yelling. Like I swear, it drives me insane. And
Ooh.
I've like been in crowds of people. I can handle having like loud noises,
Yeah, like when we
Like
were when we were all together at Chewy's, we were really loud.
yeah, like I get that, but like see, at least when we were at Chihuahuas, we were still outside, technically,
Yeah, we weren't.
you
We weren't.
know?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm talking about closed off small classroom area with no windows even,
Ooh,
where they will
ooh.
just scream and I want to bang my head on a wall.
Oh
like
no.
like I swear there was a time where I was like early in the morning, I was tired, I just drove there. I was getting stuff done for a different like last second stuff done and they're like right next to me in a little group and I don't even know what happened. I think one of them like saw the other one or something, but they literally like screamed high pitch on the top of their lungs and
Oh,
I had to turn and
Jesus.
look at them because I thought they like I swear I was about to murder one of them, I swear. Not actually, but the feeling.
Oh no no no. I've had to deal with that. Like
But they are loud and like they cannot shut up when the teacher's talking because like I won't say I don't sometimes talk when authority figures are speaking, that happens, but at least I try to keep it at a whisper where I'm not disturbing everybody else trying to listen. They just talk like normal speaking voice talk in the middle of the teacher talking and I'm like, could you please shut up for 5 minutes,
could you
please?
not, please?
I
That
never
would
say it
be
out loud, but like my brother and like other people in that class have said it out loud to them. So that's how big of a problem it is.
that is pretty bad.
But it's like particularly like Cindy and Mindy that do it too. The other two are kind of whatever, they're there. And they can kind of control themselves. But like, and I swear to God, if I hear either of them yell, like in response to anyone doing anything, they like, because recently I guess they discovered they have this new like inside joke or
Oh
whatever, which
no.
like the first time I heard it was just like, okay, whatever. But they do it every 5 minutes. And it's like anytime somebody does anything, one of them will yell, "That's my best friend." And it's like the first time it's kind of funny, or especially if they're doing it in reference to each other. But then they started doing it every time somebody like breathed. And it's like not literally, but you know what I mean. Like
I know exactly what you fucking
just imagine
mean.
like someone gets on stage and like they like spin around or something and they'll scream like, "That's my best friend."
Oh
And
my
it's
god,
like, would
okay.
you shut up, please?
Okay,
Like,
so speaking of really bad inside jokes,
oh,
so me and my friend Dakota, fuck. Okay, so out of context, Like we both were like cringing about it now because we both kind of like remembered and talked about it. Where I was like, remember back in high school when I'm sure so many people must have thought we were fucking racist because okay, so we did role plays too back then.
Quan in the chat, just that's my best friend.
So we had these two characters who were okay. Well, you know Nero. It was Nero's dad and his wife, and so they had a set of twins. And I don't remember how it came to be, but we were like, oh, they make such cute black babies because they're like actually black.
Yeah, they're
characters.
black.
They're
like,
black.
Actually
they're not
black.
They're not brown. They're black. And so I remember when we first said it, we were both busting up about it. So we were on a bus, and we both in unison at the same time just screamed like black babies, and we were both laughing about it, like it was the funniest shit. And then, like, we think about it now, and we're like, fuck, so many people must have thought we were racist.
I know. I can understand people getting, like, yeah. I can understand people getting carried away having fun, but, like, because that's not even the end of the story.
Oh, I know, it's not. I was just wanting to say that, like.
Well, no, yeah, like, because I can understand, like, they're having fun and they're young teenagers or whatever, but it's just, it gets so frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
But anyway, like when they just very blatantly don't pay attention and when they just are screaming and like in an indoor classroom with other people around them and it's like, ugh. But that's not even it, because if that was the only thing that happened, that day wouldn't have been so memorable. So anyway, we're going around trying to film these things for our videos or whatever. Now there's this one kid in the class and I'll call him, I'll call him shit.
I'll call him shit. There we go. That'll be his name.
No, I'm not calling him shit. Anyway, I'll call him. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to think of something that's like funny to me that no one else. But like, I don't know. We'll call him Paperclip, I guess, because it's the first thing that's coming to my head.
I was gonna say, why don't we call him Scrim?
Scrim. Like, yeah, I'll just call him Paperclip, I guess. So Paperclip, he like. I have nothing against the guy. But he's just not a person I particularly get along with a lot. He's kind of the person who, like, you make humor, like, he'll have a certain kind of humor, but if you try to make that humor back at him, he gets, like, kind of personally offended by it.
Oh, I know exactly the kind of person you're talking about.
And,
okay,
like, not super bad, but, you know, he kind of gets defensive about it. And he's also the kind of person that I don't know if he does it, like, for fun or, like, no hard feelings, or if he actually does it to try and start, an argument. But he likes to kind of challenge anything somebody says, you know? Which is, like, it is what it is. Maybe that's just him trying to make conversation, whatever. But, like, there's also the fact that when you sit next to him, he's another person that drives me insane because he feels the need to, like, whisper comment about every single thing anybody says. Like, whisper responses. And then sometimes he'll repeat himself because he thought, like, his joke was so funny and everyone, like, he's thought no one heard his joke, so they didn't laugh at it. And then part of me is like, no, Paperclip, I heard your joke. I just didn't think it was funny. I've never said that out loud, but that's how I feel. Like,
no, Paperclip, shut the fuck up.
Anyway, but so, you know, whatever. Like, so he's not and there's just some things he does where it's a little bit obnoxious, but like, nothing against the guy. He's not a bad person. He's just not my kind of person.
Not my Paperclip.
You know, yeah, he's not my kind of Paperclip. Like, you know. But anyway, so we're trying to film stuff, and so our group is like doing something in the hallway, and we need like the door and the classroom, so we can't really leave from that spot. But Paperclip is trying to film something else where they're just like kind of interviewing someone, quote unquote, you know, to get some footage where they can do that literally anywhere, but he's doing it in the exact same place as us. So obviously that's not working out. So he goes to leave to do it somewhere else. And he says, now obviously it's not like I didn't know this was a joke. It just kind of, it came off rude, you know, where he kind of comes by and he like sassily walks like, you know, excuse us. We're trying to do important things here, you know? And like, it was obviously a joke, but the way he just said it as we're trying to film stuff, we were kind of like, yeah, right. Okay. Paperclip, whatever. Like, you know, this is really not the time or place for that, you know, as we're trying to film. But of course, as he walks by, I'm just kind of tired and I just kind of look at him like, yeah, and you have 50 other places you could do that. So, and he turns around, he looks at me like I just like said something bad about his mother or
Yeah, like
something.
you just fucking bitch slapped it.
No, no, he just looks at me. He's just like, all right, geez. And it's like, like I actually like said something terrible and I'm like say shit, get hit back. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
what do you want?
You
And
gotta learn, bitch.
yeah, it's just like I don't he like looks so personally attacked and I was like, "Oh, that's frustrating." And then of course like while we're trying to film, some people are goofing off and they have to like redo things whatever, and nobody's listening. Like, okay, then we're like in the hallway or they're in the classroom trying to film something but right by the door. So they're like, "Okay, guys, be quiet. We're filming this thing." So these two kids, I will call them just the first things that come off my mind, I'll call them like Banana and Sparrow, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why that's the first thing that comes to my mind, but
I
like
like banana and
Banana and
sparrow.
Sparrow. Banana and Sparrow. So I feel like I'm thinking like Sparrow because I'm thinking Jack Sparrow for some reason, which I know why I'm thinking that. I can't say why, but yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so Banana and Sparrow. So or John and Jan. Um Yeah, but so Banana and Sparrow, they're like in the hallway and they're kind of goofing around a little bit. So Banana like tries to do this thing where she like while they're filming in the right there by the door, she runs over and she tries to like ricochet off the wall and touch the ceiling,
Oh yeah.
uh whatever. And so she does that obviously and she has a big loud sound about it and Sparrow like laughs about it whatever. And like the people trying to film like the person who's kind of was spearheading the project, but she has some of her own issues, but we're not gonna. That's not part of the story, so whatever. But she kind of like she got frustrated and she stopped the recording. Like, okay, so that just like fucked the entire recording. She
Yeah.
didn't say that obviously, but she's like, okay, well that just ruined that entire take.
yeah, it's what
We
she
can't. We have to redo it
it's
now.
what she wanted to say, yeah.
Yeah, that's what she was getting. That's the way she said it.
Uh-huh.
And so it's like that ruined that entire take. And so immediately, instead of saying like sorry, like we were goofing around, they start like turning on each other and like joke blaming each other,
Oh
where like Banana was just
god.
like, it's like his fault. He was doing and it's just like and it's like, no, it wasn't me, it was her. And like they were doing this while everyone else is kind of irritated with them for doing that. And I got this was the point where I actually turned and looked at them and I'm like, okay, no, it was both your fault. And they like there was actually like a pause there, like they were not ready for me to say something back. And so then but Banana continues and she's just like, well, no, he was egging me on or whatever. It's like,
I
and I'm
don't
like,
fucking
but you still did
care.
it. And I'm like, but you were the one who ran at the wall while we're recording something, while you knew we were recording something.
Yeah.
And and her response to me was that well, I wanted to see if I could touch the ceiling and I touched it, didn't I? And like it took all of my willpower to like, because she's like, I touched the ceiling though, and it took all of my willpower not to look at her dead in the eye and say, I don't fucking care if you touch the ceiling, that's not what this is about. Like it
Good
was
for
really
you.
hard.
Good for you, buckaroo. Like what the
Like I
fuck?
don't fucking care, Banana. Like but
Oh, Morgan, I feel so bad. You're so much more adult for you than your age. Cause
but
I'm sitting here like, I remember those days, and I probably would have been a fucking banana back in high school.
oh god, I know.
No, no, I think back to
Uh,
myself back when I was in high school. I know, I'm sorry, I'm derailing the
I'm not
story here.
I'm not perfect by any means, but geez, like and then it's not even the end of the story because that all
I'm
happens and
not
then
surprised.
for a little while it's kind of going okay, other than the fact that some people just don't shut up. But whatever. It's whatever. So by the end of the class period, we've done our filming and we're just sitting and going over like technical things. So like for our theater department, part of our fundraising, one of the things we do is this optional thing for tamale sales, where we basically sell these tamales to people,
Fucking
and they do
tamales
really well
is
because they're
fucking.
tamales and they're good.
I was gonna say, fucking tamales are amazing.
I don't really love tamales, but I can get why people like them. So you have these like good tamales or whatever that people do. And so recently we did that where they went out and everyone take them and do it, whatever. And this one guy, no, he doesn't have a name yet. So okay, the two people in the story, we'll call the first one. we'll call him Tamale. How about that?
There we go.
We'll call him Tamale, and we'll call the other person, um,
Torta.
what?
Torta. It's also a Mexican food.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said torta.
Oh, torta. So we'll do like tamale and torta. That's what we'll do.
Just because I
So,
think I think it sounds cute together.
yeah, tamale and torta. So Tamale was saying how he he ordered these tamales for himself, and that, like, I guess he missed the day he was supposed to pick them up, so he was trying to get them back, and I guess he went and asked somebody, and they said, like, you have to, like, call a number and schedule a time to pick them up or whatever. And he was saying how he really didn't want to go through that entire process, so he's asking if there was, like, a different way to get them or whatever. And when he's talking to the teacher, obviously she's saying, like, well, like, why didn't you get them before? And it's like, and I'll say this, okay? Like, he was making, like, pretty blatant excuses,
Oh
where he's
yeah.
just saying, like, it's just like, okay, it's like, but I don't have them. It's like, okay, so why don't you call and make a time? It's like, because I don't want to have to schedule a time, all that, and I don't have time to go do that. And it's just like, well, it's like, oh, he was also saying, like, I don't drive, and it's just like, well, get your parents to drive.
Oh yeah. Or you know what you do? You go to school fucking early. Cause I
Well,
didn't get my
you
license.
can't. No, it's not. They weren't at school at that point. They were
Oh
at somebody
oh
else's
okay okay.
house. So yeah. Um, but, like, so he's just, and he was kind of making excuses. Like, it kind of, to me, it honestly sounded like a guy who didn't want to call a stranger and, like, have that awkward conversation,
Yeah.
you know? So part of me could get it, but I also think he was making excuses.
Uh huh.
Um, but then, now, I will say this: Torta is my friend, but I do criticize her on occasion, because sometimes I do think she has her flaws. Um, but Torta's, like, there at my table with me or whatever, and she basically says, now, at first, it came off like a joke to lighten the mood a little bit,
Uh huh.
because obviously in theater we just randomly yell shit to be funny, whatever,
Yeah.
and just to be lighthearted. And she just says, like, it's, you got to learn those adult skills. And so at first it's like, whatever. It's like, kind of poor timing, I guess,
Yeah.
for the situation, but whatever. But so she said that once, and he didn't really respond to it. But he kept talking with the teacher about it with the whole class, and so she said it again, and as if, like, he didn't hear the first time, I guess. And he he's like, okay, like, I don't. It's just like, it's not, those aren't adult skill. Like, that's not what this is about or whatever. He kind of was like, it's obviously he's kind of frustrated. He's a little bit stressed or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, where he kind of responded in the sense that said, "Can you please stop? Like, that's not really funny."
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not really what this is about. Um, and it's just like, and she kept saying it, like, it's just like, well, you got to learn how to be an adult, whatever. And it's just like, I know, but I don't have, like, time to go get them, whatever. And it felt so, because again, I don't disagree that he was making excuses, and I don't disagree with the fact that, yeah, that's kind of something he needs to learn how to do at some point, like, to call people and do that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. But at the same time, she kept saying the same thing over and over and just wouldn't let it be.
Mhm.
And at word point it was just like, Torta, please just stop. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
please.
like okay, we get it.
And it was really hard for me, not in the middle of class, to just tell her, like, okay, he gets it. Like, stop. Like, leave him alone. And that it didn't even help that beforehand, back to, like, fucking paperclip, and then, like, whatever I called the other, Mindy and Cindy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, he at one point got so fed up with them talking so much,
Mhm.
and being so loud about things, where he told them, like, can you please stop talking for 5 minutes? Which, again, I don't think they technically just, like, don't deserve that, because sometimes they really do.
Yeah.
But, like, he said that to them. So their response to that was to then kind of mock this already irritated guy, and,
Oh
like, just, like, say it
no.
again, whatever, like,
Being
just
kids.
what, like.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm like looking over at them, like, stop. Like, just, it's, no one thinks this is funny. This isn't, like, he's telling you to stop talking because you are being loud and obnoxious.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Um
This is really
Egging
random.
him on was an adult skill. But
This
anyway,
is this
so
is really
just,
random, but I feel like the outfit I'm doing is something you Step would like totally fucking wear, and I hate it.
oh, honestly looking at it, I bet she totally.
Yeah. So sorry for the random tangent.
Anyway, no, yeah. But yeah, so that was a day, and like almost immediately after, I'm like walking out of class, like this was a way to start my morning. Oh boy,
Happy morning to me.
like
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I've had those where you're just like,
Just
oh,
everything on top of
yeah. It's just
everything.
like, can I not today? I really didn't want to deal with this today.
Yeah, like I didn't need this in my life, but now I have it. So, you know.
Thanks.
Oh boy.
Thanks, Obama. No.
But yeah, so that's my story. So
But
from
no, I
this
mean,
week.
and like, here's the thing. See, your friend, like, Tarta, in a way, she is right, but in an also way, it's like, they're fucking tamales? Like,
Yeah, and it's like he's a sophomore. Like,
yeah, exactly.
he's a
That's
sophomore who's kind of like he doesn't really know what to do, and he was hoping it'd be a lot easier and tedious to get the tamales, whatever, like
exactly. And that's something that I always say is like when some people give, like, oh, well, when I was in high school, I wasn't like this. It's like, cool, you were mature for being a high schooler. A lot of people
it's
fucking
just and it's
weren't.
like cool, you were raised in a different time period than I was and with an entirely different life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's so
it's
again,
just
like I was trying to say before. Honestly, like I think back to myself back when I was just 20, right? And I was so immature in my 20s. I didn't think I was. I didn't think I was. But I think back to some of the shit I used to like say and do, and I'm like, wow, I might have been 20. I was a fucking kid. This sounds
Mhm.
really weird, but it wasn't until I actually got my license and I moved out of my parents' house that like I got a huge ass reality check. And
Yeah.
so when I hear people knocking on high schoolers and stuff, I always think back to myself. I mean, you have a right to vent about it because that is very dumb and childish. But I'm just saying it is a different time. People come to me and be
Yeah.
like, "Oh well, at 18 you can do whatever the hell you want. You're an adult." And I'm like, "Fuck, I was a kid still at 20." Like
Mhm.
everybody's different. You need to understand that.
Honestly, like to be honest, no matter what age you are, you're not like old, like you still have room to get older.
Exactly, exactly. And uh I remember the days of petty high school drama. I'm so glad I never have to deal with that anymore. Cause I had my own share of tamale stories, where like there was one where like a bunch of my friends in our friend group were fighting with each other, and oh god, it was all over a fucking girl. And it was it literally divided my friend group over this fucking girl, and I remember being like, why does this matter? Like, why is this a thing? In
Yeah.
all honesty, like, if a girl's ripping us apart, then we're clearly not that good of friends. And me saying that back in high school was not the right thing to do, because then I isolated myself from a lot of my friends. But then as an adult, I'm like, fuck, that wasn't friends. Those were bitches. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You
I'm
know?
I'm kind of glad I got out of that after like elementary school. Because fuck, maybe that's why I'm like so mature. I feel like I went through most of my high school shit in middle school.
Yeah. So
Um, like to be honest, because that's when I had like it was sixth grade whenever I realized one of my friends was really not a good friend in the slightest, and I actually found people that were good friends.
isn't it
Uh,
funny when that happens? Like not in a joking way, but it's like
I
you
feel like it always happens to somebody at least once,
yeah. It's like you
unless
think
you just
you
get really lucky.
yeah, it's like you think you have good friends, and then you're like, oh no, this is what real friends are like.
Yeah, it's just well, because it sucks. Because at the time, honestly, it was really It's really interesting to see people talk about the fact, like, man, like high school's terrible. Everyone will tear you to shreds, and then like meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, why was elementary school the worst time for me in terms of my social life? Like, why is high school and middle school better than that? Like, and why was high school a step up from middle school? Like, geez. But anyway, um. But like I don't know. It was just kind of weird the fact that like it's because like back then obviously I didn't have a lot of friends, so I didn't know like part of me I think was just blinded by just desperation of like I have a friend and I don't want to lose the one of the three
Me!
friends I have.
That was me! That was
Yeah.
so me back then!
Now
Yeah!
I'm older and I've realized I can kind of mesh with anyone. So like, not maybe not be friends, but I can just sort of get along with whatever whoever I'm stuck with. I can deal with it. Back then, I was a lonely bee.
I think a lot of artists back then were lonely beans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I honestly like. It's really funny because again, like a lot of people say that like 2016, like Jesus, what a horrible, terrible year for everything. That was the year I think I finally learned how to love myself. Help, like,
Yeah, it's like, oh fuck.
because I mean
I can
that's the
actually.
year I figured out like my identity and I started actually getting confidence in myself and I became more self-aware. That's probably where I became more mature and shit. It's like because I mean, honestly, I know like the transition period from my life to be honest, because like in like like uh
Morgan,
freshman.
are you saying that trans people have a transitioning period? I have never heard of
Yeah, well,
this.
I mean, like it was part
I'm
of
being
these
an.
other things too. I think because I don't want to say it was like, oh, it was me discovering I'm transgender. Was that was the first that was the stepping stone into everything else. Um, but like that was the stepping stone for sure. But I know that like in freshman year and then in like beginning of sophomore year, I like only ever wore like a black hoodie and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was kind of in that phase. But like then I started like figuring out myself and I started actually like finding some happiness in life. And then like I declare my transition period was when I took the hoodie off and I no longer wore it every day. Now I
That's
just wear a jacket every day.
that's so fucking cute. God damn it! How the fuck? That is so cute. What
I
the?
guess you could say I opened myself up.
Oh, now you ruined it. You had to make it punny. You had to ruin it.
I need to make like a honest to be honest, just with how much I've changed over the years, I need to make a picture just to show people like the stages of my life. Because it went from like elementary school where I was trying everything in my power to be girly, but at the same time I still had my own personality I do now. Just it was deep down there somewhere. And then I had like my hair has progressively gotten shorter. Um like I used to grow it out long, but I hated to brush it. So then I like would cut it short because I do locks of love. Like I did it about like 3 or 4 times,
Uh huh.
and so I'd cut it like really short there. So it got to where it was like by my shoulders in middle school, and then it was like in a weird bob cut for like freshman year, and then now I have it like this, and everything's good. Zodiac should do a draw of my life. Honestly, I probably will someday.
Ah!
'Cause
A Binks clawed my hip. It just fucking
I
hurt.
just have
Sorry.
to. I'd have to make sure I get like everything together because I honestly I can go over a whole synopsis of my life and then go back and realize shit I forgot that one important thing.
Me, because people have asked me for that, and I'm like, that sounds really like lame, but honestly, I don't feel like my life has started until this year, and it was until I moved out. And then
Yeah.
it sounds so weird because like I said, like, oh well, now that you're married, you lost your identity. I'm like, no, it's like now I can do whatever the fuck I want. I don't have to answer to other people.
Yeah. Well,
I
I mean,
can.
it still makes for a good story, but
Oh yeah.
like because I mean, I do think like me as a whole compared to like other people,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not that interesting of a person. But like, I have my own stories. Like, I can talk about the fact that like, I mean, in my life, like I was, you know, the stereotype of like kids where it's like there's the one girl that really likes horses.
Yeah.
That was me. I was that stereotype, like in a nutshell.
Oh my god,
Where it's like I know everything about horses. Although
did you watch those really
my step
really
above that
really
was I actually rode horses.
I was gonna
So,
say
you
because I
know,
used to ride horses too. I loved horseback riding.
I love horses. I still do, and I'm kind of sad I haven't gone back to like where I used to horseback ride all the time, like years ago. I haven't gone back there since I stopped volunteering there.
Hmm.
Um, which that's its own story that could be in a whole like its own video. Because I mean, I have nothing against that ranch. It was just some like, oh, hang on.
Hello, Morgan.
Sorry, my mom was just telling me something, and I didn't want to yell into the mic.
Hi,
Uh,
Morgan's meme.
she's downstairs.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was thinking I don't want to yell. But yeah. So
You were what?
I thought I heard my name. Sorry, I had to stop and listen. Um, Yeah, so I heard like I was the horse girl in like elementary, which is also ironic because technically the reason I'm named Morgan is because my mom liked horseback riding. She had like
I still think your name is really cool. Is that it's like all the M's.
I know I like it's fun. Now I just if I ever get married, no matter what the circumstance, it must be with someone with the last name of M, just in case.
Fuck.
Like
I must keep the symmetry.
so like even if I'm like if I decide to get married to a dude, just so like both our names, like if I have to a double last name, I can be like,
I mean,
yo.
you could do what
Like,
Cody's parents did.
now
'Cause
it's four
I was
M's.
gonna say you could do what Cody's parents did
Um,
because they were both guys. So they both. So okay. So a lot of people don't know this.
okay, I will say this real quick, just while I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's also really ironic because my mom, she got like
Bitch.
remarried, obviously,
Yeah.
and my step family's last name also starts with an M, and it's also Irish. So it's like
Really? That's great.
it's beautiful. Anyway, so continue.
No, what I was gonna say was, you guys can both change your name. Like the guy can change his name too. You can change it to a new last name. So if you want, like when Cody and I got married, I took Marquez because I like Cody's last name, and Cody doesn't really
Yeah.
care. But if like Cody hated his last name and I hated my last name, we literally could have been called like Fuckstick, and that would have been okay. like you can both
Michelle
change
Fuckstick.
I know exactly, but no, that's the thing. You can change your last
No,
name
yeah, I know,
to
yeah.
whatever you want it to be. And so what Cody's
Yeah.
parents did, because they're gay, is they made a fusion of both of their names. So
They made a ship name.
they pretty much made a ship name because it wasn't the dash, it was
Yeah,
a fusion
it was
of
like an
their
actual
names.
fusion of their names.
And I was like, that's pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Because it also makes sense because it's like
Yeah,
like,
I have no idea what my dating life is gonna look like. Sure, I probably won't even. I wouldn't be shocked if I didn't have like one at all. Like to be honest.
aw, don't be like that.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm really actively looking. To be honest, you know.
Well, as long as you're okay with it, that's fine. But
Oh yeah.
don't be one of those people. I feel terrible, but I get really mad when I hear people be like, "I'm gonna be alone for the rest of my life," and I'm like, "Honey, you 20. You got
Yeah, I know.
you got a long life ahead of you. Like, stop
Yeah.
it."
See, I only feel like because I'd only say that in like the joking sense, because where I'd say like sometimes that I'm like I am a Virgo because I'll always be a virgin, but you know, but like I more say that jokingly, but also just because I feel like I have like just kind of one of those personalities where I'm not really actively looking for anyone. I don't really feel much of like I think it'd be kind of nice because I've never had that before like, hey, that seems like it'd be pretty cool. But at the same time, I'm in no rush to go get in a relationship right now.
But see,
I mean,
and that's the best part. Like that's something I tell people for relationship advice. Because Cody and I, when we got together, we were kind of in the same boat. Like I had gotten through a really terrible breakup, and I was like, you know what? I never got, because I mean I'm bisexual, so it didn't really matter. But
Yeah.
I never got the like boy crazy like, because I had friends who would hot boyfriends. Like they
Yeah.
could not be single. And I remember after my breakup, like fucking emotionally wrecked me. I'm just like, you know what? I'm not in a good place right now. I think I'm a gremlin. People obviously don't love me. I'd be terrible in a relationship right now. So I was focusing on myself. Same thing happened to Cody, and then we ended up meshing. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing
Yeah.
to work on yourself before you get in a relationship
Yeah.
with someone else. So, like you
Yeah,
were saying,
and-
you're like, I finally love myself now. I'm like, I remember those days.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, I mean, obviously, I'm about to go somewhere where I might actually, because I'm sure part of my reason, because I mean, I don't know how many people have ever had like crushes on me. I know of one specifically, because that's a whole other story. That was an interesting experience. I mean, it was the first time I ever had just a random person kiss me on my cheek. Ah, but you know, so but like at the same time though, I just like I don't know. I think also part of it is just because I live in a place where there's just not a lot of people that like are they're not my type, I'm not their type, so it's like, you know, whatever. Um So, but I'm about to go to a place where it's like I'll be surrounded by a bunch of people who are like art nerds like me or just like making characters and stories and whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll probably meet some people I can click with more than in my school. Like I was like it's like we were joking the time before I think with Pastel we were like saying that where it's like, I love my real life friends, but I just cannot have the same kinds of conversations I do with like people with like you guys.
Yeah, no, and that's something else that's really important. Is like you need to find people like Cody is not an artist, but we get along so well because we have so much shit in common besides our careers. Like my career is art, his is cars, and he respects mine, I respect his, and we both learned really cool things from both lifestyles. But we don't have and that's another thing is I feel like opposites attract is a much healthier relationship than someone who's like,
oh yeah,
leave me alone. Sorry. I keep getting the stupid. Hey, if you come to so and so college, you can make money in your career. And I'm like, I signed up for you years ago when I was desperate, and now I'm here from you fucks now.
I'm like so, because I mean, yeah, I definitely agree though too because I mean that's why I'm just like I have no idea. I mean definitely I don't think I even really have that high standards to be honest. Like because I mean for one thing, I guess I'm weird because like I don't think I have high beauty standards for anything. I'm attracted to just a lot of general people where I'm like yeah that person looks nice. I like looking at that person.
Me!
And I do that for like most people I meet.
Oh my god, I've had that too.
Where I'm just like, like, there's just a lot of people in the world where I'm just like, yeah, I like that person has a nice face. But, at the same time,
ate my Snickers. Sorry.
But, and like, part of me is just like, I just want to find someone where it's like, they'll, like, even if they don't totally get it, like, they'll hear me out, like, listen to me nerd out or whatever. Yeah. My own shit, like that's what I really need. That's like the main standard for my relationship right there. Yeah. Can you let me talk for an hour just about bullshit and like you be happy with that too and not just me? Like
yeah, and that's something like that Cody and I can do is like Cody knows like almost all of my stories. But it wasn't like when we got together it was something that happened. I remember one time I never really talked about him or my stories, really. And so one time he knew I had them, and he's like, "How come you don't talk about it?" I'm like, "Oh, you never asked. You want to hear me?" I'm like, "If you want me to go, I'ma go because it's gonna take a while."
See, that's I wait. It's why like anytime I'm in a conversation with someone and out of nowhere they're just like, "So like oh, you have stories? Like tell me about them." I'm just like, "Oh, you're in the rabbit hole now. You can't escape."
Yeah. Okay. Same with like.
Welcome to darkness.
Yeah. Same like with the Crackland stuff.
I know. It's the rabbit hole that never ends. It's like I was joking because you have your new patron who's your friend. Whenever
Savannah, yeah.
Yeah, whenever Savannah asked like, "Hey, just like I love hearing about other people's characters," and I was just like, "Me? You mean someone wants to listen about me talk about my characters?" And then like it's just there was like also me. It's just like, yeah, I don't think she's ready for that from me now. Let's make sure she just doesn't. Let's make that not my first impression. Like,
yeet! I've told you, boy. You got food in your bowl. You got water. I played with you. Let me finish this chibi pigs.
All I heard was yeet. Okay, somebody's asking how this happened.
I know. So you want to explain?
Okay, well, hi guys. All right, well, here we go, Crackland again down the rabbit hole. So currently we finally got to do Demetriel. Yeah, finally. I'm so excited.
The baby is born.
The baby. I'm so excited. And I love her already.
The literal immaculate conception baby.
The literal just like instant baby. Oh god. It's even funnier because there's even babies we have there now technically yet. Like, we haven't addressed the fact that, like, Gino has a little
Michi.
brother now.
Can't believe Michi just yeeted a cat. Okay, so
That's just all I heard was just yeet. Like,
fucking, I actually, like, I don't say it as a joke. I literally say, like, yeet and fuck all the time. Cody does it too.
So funny. It's like whenever you say, oh, whenever I was talking my knee story, and you just said, like, so what you're saying is your knee just yelled yeet and, like, was out. Anyway. But yes.
Oh, Lord, okay. So. All right, let's see. Where do we start with this? So the next gen kids are all now fucking having kids. They're all either getting laid or having kids now.
Yeah, it's a good time. Like, there they go.
Which is great, because, like, on a personal level, we never end up doing the, like, sex scenes. We always do, like, the fade to black or something funny. Because I don't know why. The doing is never, like, that's never funny. That's just, they're just boning. So, it's always, I love skipping to the next part, because that's always, like, really fucking funny.
It's because it's either, like, it's cute or it's something funny. Like, that's what it is.
Exactly.
There's no in between.
Exactly. And
oh goodness, but yeah, so it's just it's
so
like I don't know, because we need to.
Let's see.
I think we're getting close to the end where, like, Gen 3 would cut off and we'd be like Gen 4.
This is what I'm thinking. I think we're heading, like, Gen 3, we're, like, almost at the end, because technically, like, Axis and Adeti and all of them would be a part of Gen 3. Same.
Yeah. Well, no, that's what we said, because we said, okay, because I remember what we said before. Hang on, I have my list, because I think I was like, I'm gonna decide what age, like, Gen 4 would start, but I needed to, like, calculate the ages we have now, but I haven't done that yet. But, like, because I remember we said that, like, okay, let's just pretend that Gen 2 ends with the Horseman kids, because after that we did a 5-year time skip where no kids were born.
Because we had to. We were both like, nothing's gonna happen.
It's just like nothing's gonna happen. We're excited for these Horseman babies. So, like, and they need to be grown up.
Yeah, because they're just babies now. So.
Yeah, like, right now they're just babies.
Okay, hold on. Cat's gotta go in timeout.
Oh no!
You know you're not supposed to do that. You gotta go in timeout now, Biggs. No, come here. No. You don't get to hide under the kitchen table and hide away from your issues, Biggs. No being cute. Come on. Come here. Don't soup cat on me now. You don't get the soup cat. Oh, no, you know. Time out. Ugh.
Oh goodness.
Okay, I'm back.
Hello.
Sorry about that.
But yeah, so I remember because we were really excited because we had plans. I remember because I think it was, like, specifically because we had plans for Morgan.
We did. We had the Ringmaster plans with Morgan.
Yeah, because we had that planned, and we were just like, we also kind of specifically Morgan. So it's like, but I'm like, well, we can't do that till, like, Morgan's, like, 4 or 5, because that's when it would happen.
Yeah.
It is thing, because otherwise he'd be a baby, and then that wouldn't really work out very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I remember that was, like, where we said that cuts off. So I just gotta remember, like, I need to do some math and figure out where, like, Gen 4 would start at some point.
I honestly, okay, so how I see it is that I picture Bella being pregnant, because I was doing math and I'm like, wait, they said that Axis would have his first kid at a certain age that we can't talk about. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's gonna turn that age really soon. So by math-wise... And I also think it'd be funny if we just kept the trend of first-timers getting knocked up, because that just seems to be a thing in Crackland.
I know, really. Like, I don't know why that's so funny to me, too. Just, because especially just because, realistically, that's usually not how it works.
Yeah, it's usually, like,
It's like the total it's like usually your first time is like the least likely chance you'll ever have a kid.
Yeah. Because, fun biology fact, there's only like, in like the course of a year, you can only get pregnant like once or twice a month, technically, where you're like most
Yeah.
fertile. Because the rest of it, the egg is just kind of swimming in the uterus, doing egg stuff.
Being an egg.
You know, it's like, I gotta do egg stuff.
Yeah, so it's just funny. Which someone actually said it like, "Damn, Cracklin's going fast," and it and that made me laugh.
It
So,
is because it's hard
which
because like there's so many points where we're like characters are just babies and we're like I
yeah, well, it's
can't
also
really
because
yeah.
yeah, well, it's also I think also just because I've been thinking, I've thought about it too. It's because like there's so much stuff we've already like we've gone through the motions where it's like we already know what's gonna happen, so why like do all the technical stuff?
Yeah.
Where I just think that we're at that point where it's like why just do the same thing that we've already technically done and let's just get to the good stuff. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just so there's I definitely think that's probably part of it because I remember because it's really funny thinking about in contrast because whenever all of this started and it wasn't any crack babies nothing because I remember it was months that it was just doing the in the other world stuff where actual days would last like a few days of role playing and whatever, and we wouldn't be
Yeah.
like whatever. And I think that was just because we've never had these characters interact before.
Oh
So now we're at
yeah.
a point where it's almost like we've done a bunch of the magical stuff until something else like that can happen that's like different that the characters don't do in their daily life.
Yeah. And that's just it too. It's one of those things. It's just normal storytelling too. It's like, oh, Joy, so and so has a business meeting. Let's role play that business. It's like,
I don't, we're just at the point where it's just like we know what's gonna happen.
especially when
We got
there's
this.
really funny stuff coming up. Like, I can't wait for Nios and Helena to like, because I feel like that's gonna happen soon.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because
Like,
doing
you know what?
time.
Shit.
Yeah.
I know that how that can happen
Oh
because
really?
I just remembered
Okay.
that Shay is technically still at his dad's house.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, Shay's having
So-
fun. So okay,
Shay is having a good time. Like,
it's funny you brought that up because I thought of the idea of Shay banging her too, but she wouldn't know who Helena was. So she'd
I
be
know,
talking.
I love
so this,
that.
So this is how I see it. Is like Nios goes to be like, because he's like, now he doesn't seem to be sick anymore. It looks like he got over it. Or he's
Yeah.
like mostly over it.
Okay,
He'd go
well,
over there
I
and
think we
Helen.
even did it. I think we actually did it where it was like because we said that like what if other horsemen can counteract the first one. So I think it was just that Axis was like, okay, well now I know what's happening, so I'm just gonna go get I'm gonna go get Bella and we're gonna just make her fix Nios,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
he'll be good.
Exactly. It's like, because that was it. He even asked him. He's like, "So do you want her to kiss you and like you not be sick anymore? Because that's a thing." And I pictured,
Yeah.
and I think it'd be funny because I know we didn't do it, but I pictured Nios would have been like, "Oh, she's your girlfriend. I can't." He's like, "You don't have to make out with her. Just have her kiss your head or something." Why'd you go there?
Oh god.
But
She's
no,
like, Nios, I know you just I know it's like you kiss every other girl you meet, but come on, man. Like
a little class. No, such an asshole. But no, I picture it would be something like he would meet up with Shay again, and Shay would describe like her time with Helena, and then be like, "Oh, that's her over there." And then and I also be like, "Oh, I'm so proud of my lesbian wife." And then he'd go to talk to her, and then he's like, "Oh."
no, it's like Nios just kind of stares for a second, and then Shia pokes his like, holy shit!
But that's the best part is I still want it to be the comedic, like, they just have that, like, moment of awkward, and then it just skip to them in the bedroom. Like,
I know, like
there's, like, no in between. It went for, because, like, in my mind, it went from, like, that to, like, it sounds terrible, then, like, forcibly, like, making out. Like, one of those, like, oh, shit, you're alive, Okay, we're gonna just have this sexual tension get out.
Yeah, we gotta get it out somehow.
And then
Oh,
afterwards, they would talk about their issues. And I feel like it'd be bad. It'd be one of those, like, when they were done, it'd be one of those, like, Shios would be like, "So why does our daughter think you're dead? By the way, thanks for telling me I have a kid."
Well, it's funny because I feel like Nios would be the one where he's like, comes off super serious and angry about it. Meanwhile, like, meanwhile, I
Shios
feel
is
like
the
Shios, his fucking reaction would just be like, "Why did you leave our daughter motherless?" Like,
exactly.
he'd be the one that's like almost crying.
He's like, she thinks you're dead. It's like, how do you know about her?
She's like, I don't know. This other kid that we never met told us about her. Because it's also funny the context that they've never actually met Dante. So
yeah, exactly. Oh my god.
What even is this chat? Oh god! I just looked at the chat. Everyone's just yelling "yeet."
Oh, fucking okay. So I love that people are so obsessed that I eat my cat. So I don't actually like fucking kick him.
Well, no, now people are eating like yeet soup for the cat.
Yeet soup.
Because you said something about not how Binks doesn't get soup.
I did? Oh, it's not that he doesn't get soup. He was turning into soup. You know when cats become liquid? That's what I meant.
See, what I heard, and I think the rest of the chat heard about like he's not allowed to have soup.
No.
That's what it sounded like.
That's even better.
No Binks, no soup for you.
Okay, so this character's markings are so dark. I'm gonna have to color block it before I actually like do the colors.
Them some dark markings.
Very dark.
I have found out though. I have found out a secret for whatever characters are really dark, which obviously I don't know if you can do it on this one.
Yeah.
But like if you were to get rid of the white background and make it a darker color, it will help make the markings a lot clearer.
Huh. Yeah, I don't think I can do that because I think it's not transparent.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I was saying. I don't think you can do that, but you know. But yeah, so anyway.
But yeah.
And then they fought.
Well, okay, that's something we should emphasize.
Yeah,
so Tetsu's son, her blood son, he kind of a hoe. he a little hoey.
He just a little.
Remember, he not a slut.
He a playboy.
He's not a slut. He hoey. I've talked about this. There's a difference.
Yeah, the definitely difference. And it's not like
he's not a home wrecker either. He's just
all women are queens. Like
yeah. Cause okay, I think you should explain that because like it's in your world, so it makes more sense.
Yeah, well, okay.
Technically,
the mages. He's a mage from my world, like genetically speaking. In my world, now obviously this isn't a part of being a mage, but this would just have been kind of how he was raised.
It's a part of their culture.
It's part of it because mages in my world, a lot of them are really like, a lot of them have like open relationships and stuff like that, and they have a very big distinction between relationship and let's go have sex.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is that because part of me was just thinking I want to make my mages like not exactly like everybody else because they technically are raised differently. Mm-hmm. So they technically, it's like not uncommon for like mages to be super open about like who they sleep with and sleeping around, and like some of them are monogamous and some of them will have relationships that are like with one person, but some of them either will just like not have a relationship and just sleep around, or some of them will be like polygamous, or some of them will just be like, so I'm dating a person but we also have an open relationship, so you know, it's just that's just how they are. So technically speaking, half of Nios's life growing up was with his dad, who's a mage there, and his dad's monogamous, but that's for different reasons. Anyway, that's because his dad was raised differently. Yeah. Cough cough. But
cough, for reasons.
Cough cough. Spoilers. I mean, I guess not really big spoilers. It wouldn't show up for years, but anyway. Which I have been working on the pages. I have.
I know, but don't you be mean to my son.
But anyway, so I mean, it would honestly, I've been considering the fact of like, what if as a side project I just do like a comic for each of the mage masters, just doing their backstory, because there's no reason in canon other than Aurora's that one would need to come up.
Yeah,
like, you know, like Aurora's the only one that's actually important and has like story related reasons.
Yeah, I feel like those would be good little like that would be a good thing. You could do like a mini anthology. Like you said, you want to do you want to do cons and stuff, because 7 Sins and a Baby, it's gonna be a while till like you have enough for a book there. So what I was thinking is you could do, since you want to do that, you could have like do like a mini comic of each of their backstories, and then you can have
I,
that be an
I've
anthology.
totally considered doing that. And well, I've also thought of it as like a something I could do that's a little bit more laid back. Because now with like Seven Sins and a Baby, I have to plan it out a little bit more. So I felt like,
I'm sorry that I gave your characters plot.
it's fine. I've been working on it. Although, okay, I'm so I'm so excited. I love these pages that I'm working on now because the joke leading up to it. It shouldn't make my own comic shouldn't make me laugh, but
No,
I
yes, it
love it.
should. No, that's BS. Yes, it
Well,
should.
I know, but it's the whole reason I'm doing this is just because it's like I'm doing it because I think it's fun. I don't care if anyone else thinks it's funny because I just love the fact that it's literally building up to um the whole joke with like it's just like, so what side is Wrath on? And then it literally cuts to like, I can't believe he
Yeah.
picked the other side just to spite me. Like, so I'm so excited to get to that part. But anyway, so the chat's just memes now. Anyway, so yeah, but I was just considering like for each of them just to do a little mini comic, because I mean those are stories that could also like totally stand on their own, and you don't technically Seven Sins and a Baby stuff to understand anything going on.
Yeah.
So like, they make pretty good comics on their own.
Waka
It's just
waka.
their own little thing. Cause again, like you don't need them because, they're not really related to the sins directly in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no spoilers. So but anyway, so yeah, anyway, so how Nios was raised, because that's what we were talking.
Because he was also. I feel okay saying this because, I mean, I've already drawn pictures of it. So, in Tetsu's story, this is like literally going to happen at the point where it's going to be like 3 or 4 books. No, before this is the last book. Be like 3 books in before this shit even kind of happens. So, she doesn't even meet Ten until technically the second one, and it's like the middle of the second one. It's not even right away. So, Tetsu is in this relationship in my story in canon with this character named Ted. I have art of him on my gallery. It's not really a spoiler because I've drawn them together. And I've got art of them together. They're a couple. But there's certain things that happen that I cannot say where they're apart for a very, very, very long time. And it was always kind of, their relationship was always kind of weird. And I feel fine saying this because they never were, because of spoilery reasons, they couldn't ever have a normal relationship. And that's something that came up in Crackland was like Tetsu's talking with her wine mom crew that converted her, and they're talking to her and they're like, wait, you've never had like a date? You've never been on like you've never, wait, what do you mean? You're like the most lady, most polite. And she's like, oh, I kind of have some issues, have some bad luck, and yeah, and it's one of those like, yeah, I've never really had a normal relationship. And they're like, but what about Anthony? Because there's a point where, like I said, it's kind of weird between her and Ten, and she hadn't seen him in a very, very long time. So it wasn't cheating. It was just they hadn't seen each other. So she and Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
like,
she and Anthony kind of hit it off. I say kind of hit it off. They both hit it off like right away. It was really fucking funny.
Still, like one of my favorite things that Tybalt's ever do something serious. And Tybalt just yells, "Hi, by the way, she's single."
Yeah,
like,
she was so mad too. Like,
I know, she was so upset.
She was just like, "Thank you for that. This isn't helping."
Oh, it was so funny to me.
And so, what ended up happening was they both had this weird, like, awkward sexual tension with each other, but they were both too polite to like say anything on it. Yeah. So they were just like really, really close and stuff. And so then eventually things happen and she and Anthony start. Again, I can't even really say dating because they never went on a date, but they started seeing each other. And things were going really great.
That's the other funny thing too, is that my mages don't technically date, quote unquote.
Yeah, so it's
like
perfect.
Whenever Dante was like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, what is a date? Like,
yeah, what? Yeah, exactly.
Like, what? You just go to the movies and that's all? Like, you just sleep over at each other's house and like nothing else happens? You just watch movies? Like,
yeah, especially because, like, again, movies don't exist in my world. So, and especially with Tetsu and Anthony, Tetsu has always been very much attracted to someone's like mind. So Anthony's a very, very smart guy. 10 is a very, very smart guy. They're both very well rounded and both actually have fucked up childhoods if you think about it. I won't say why.
They also both have a bad time showing their actual emotions.
She very much has a type.
See, they are extremely different because they're the fire and ice husbands, but they're also exactly.
So shenanigans end up happening in Crackland, and 10 more so finds out that Tetsu's still alive, because he's kind of in this weird, like, I don't know if she's alive or dead, but he's also in this, like, I don't want to know kind of thing. Yeah. He's better, like, thinking she's okay. But then he finds out some things, some emotional stuff happens. He meets Gabe Jesus.
Gabe Jesus.
And Gabe Jesus is terrified of him. See, I can't portray him very well, but my friend Kaylee does, and let me get a picture of him. Because he's supposed to look very intimidating, and he's also huge. He's 7'4". So to Gabe Jesus, here's this monster-looking motherfucker. There's no other nice way for me to say it. Sorry, Ted. And he's scared, and he's just like, I'm gonna make you not scary anymore.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that so much. Well, he was scared for his family too, so
yeah. Yeah, and so
gotta protect.
So this is where the AUs come into place. Okay, so I can't say why, but we came up with the conclusion because 10. I can talk about this because it's open in the world, and it's one of those things like in my story, 10 is a pretty famous person. So is this little group. So like everyone knows they used to be human. It's kind of common knowledge. It's on the same vein of like, oh, Trump was a reality star. It's like everyone knows that 10 was human once, and so were all his buddies. So it's not a spoiler me saying that because it's common knowledge in the book and people talk about it. So when he was human, he didn't look anything like he does now. In fact, Morgan, if you would like, while I look for this picture, you can.
That day is burned into my memory that we that.
So go on, explain
okay.
Why it's so funny.
So the reason why it's so funny is because this whole time in Crackland, I've had my character Kai, who for a little while kind of became one of the main characters. Like, just honestly, one of the ones that was always involved.
He still was until we're on the new generation. Now the adults are kind of retired.
Yeah, and even then, like, he's still there, like,
yeah.
And, like, who knows if him and Siren will have another baby point, like...
I mean, she wants
who knows?
One, but who knows if it's gonna happen.
Well, I know. Well, it's part of me, I didn't get to say it, but this was, like, in my mind of prepared sentences to make him say. Part of me was just, like, almost when make Kai's like, oh no, I want another. Because they're so cute.
Yeah.
Because Demetriel has stolen everyone's heart.
Yep.
Without magic. But anyway, so I have Kai, who's I don't know if you want to show a picture of him just so we can get the idea of how funny this is.
I will. I'm trying to find the one of 10 looking intimidating. Found it. Okay.
Oh, right.
Okay, so this was done by Bezzy K, but she is by far the only person when it loads, when my thing loads, who's the only person who's been able to get his too much. That's not what I want you to zoom in. God damn it, where he's supposed to look very intimidating, and so she did this for me years ago, and I'm like, yeah, no, she got him. He perf.
There he is.
There he be in a crepe. His outfit doesn't look like that anymore. Kaylee just loves adding anime style to outfits, but I still love it so much. So let me try to find Kai. I know I have one of Kai.
So Kai, of course, is like sweet, like the most purest being. He'll literally die for like anyone.
Yeah.
And I love him. And I remember this day so vividly in my mind because I was in animation class trying to do my work. And, like, obviously on the side, role-playing at that time, just back and forth. And I don't remember how we got into the realization, like, what went...
No. Like, I know what it was. It was, you were telling me about Kai's
backstory. Oh, that's right. I was telling him
we can't talk about. And so now, keep in mind, I purposefully didn't tell Morgan a lot about 10's past. Because 10 is a very intimidating...
I knew none of it. Okay, well, I can share some of it because, I mean, it's not really a spoiler in Seven Since a Baby. It'll come up, but like,
Okay,
it's
yeah.
not really it's not a big important plot twist or
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh,
But
okay.
it's because like with Kai, his whole thing was that he wasn't supposed to be born. He was kind of the result of his mom
He
being a
he
little bit unfaithful,
yeah, he was the result of an affair.
Yeah, and
Okay, so here's
as
Kai.
Michi called it, he's the reverse black baby, where it's like all his family were like dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, and this little blonde baby is suddenly born.
Yeah, he's the okay.
And
This is a terrible saying, but he's the milkman baby. If anybody knows what I'm talking about,
yes, that's what he is.
it's a much older
I need
saying.
to redraw him and all his friends, or honestly, but
Okay, so
I'm trying to wait until it gets close to their debut,
yeah,
so I can make them as recent as possible. Um, but like so he just this blonde boy, and so he grew up where it's like everyone other than like in his family other than his mom either hated him or they just kind of they they didn't hate him, but they were like jaded towards him
yeah,
just because of the context of like what his birth did to their family,
yeah.
because that's made like their dad leave and all that sort of stuff.
And what's funny
So
is Morgan says that, right? So I was finding this out,
yeah,
and
but
again,
it gets better too because then he ends up like working for his dad without realizing it,
yeah. So
and
yeah, this
he's
is
like best
Kai,
buddies
not
with his
10.
dad, and he
Yeah,
never
Kai,
knows.
not 10. I also think it's funny
Yes,
because I realized that I mean 10's like actual name's a lot longer than Kai, but his name is
right,
also 3 letters.
yeah,
So I just thought that was funny. But no,
yeah.
so Morgan was telling me this, and I was like, oh, fuck, are you serious? Because, again, I don't feel bad saying this. I can say, hold on, wait. So I have to stay at work till 6:45. Then I can leave. I'm covering for. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Sorry, it's my husband, because we're going to go to the movies at 7:30, so we got time.
Yeah.
It's good, though, because he can't leave till, like, 6:40, so that means I
Hang
can
on,
keep the stream
yeah.
going. What?
Wait, real quick, is Crackland an AU or an actual eventual story? It's a crossover roleplay for funsies.
Yeah, it's a stupid AU.
I would love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
because I would personally like I would totally be down if we ever wanted to like collaborate comic for it, but with what it is, we couldn't do that till both our stories are like done and public.
Yeah, I feel like if and this sounds terrible, I feel like the only way we'd be able to make Crackland make any sense would be if we did it when Gabe was born. Like we just started at that point. I know it
Yeah,
sounds
honestly.
bad, but I feel like
Well, it's like, but even then, like we'd have so much shit to explain
yeah, that's true.
because there's like so many characters and so many backstories, and then like how both the worlds got crossed over has a backstory and all that shit.
Yeah.
So it's like, and even then, we'd have to go back and rewrite stuff and whatever.
Oh
But
yeah.
so it'd be super fun if like 10 years from now we decided, hey, let's make a comic over that stupid roleplay adventure we had.
Hey, we got time.
I know, like,
so,
geez.
okay, so
I mean, hell, we just start now and we just don't
so-
post it for years.
yeah, so
Like,
what's really funny is okay, how do I explain this? All right, so he was telling me about Kai and all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh, are you fucking serious? Because that's really, really similar to Ted. And Morgan was like, no fucking way. And I was like, yeah, because there's a lot of story beats that we have that are very similar that neither of us brought up. So it was one of those like, oh, fuck, just
yeah, and then
thinking alike.
but not only that, but like, because it just started with me talking about Kai's backstory, and then you realized that, oh my god, I never even realized that, like, appearance-wise, Kai and Ten's human form would look similar.
Very similar. The only difference is Kai would have to be swole, and there's a reason for that. So okay.
Yeah.
So 10, and again, this isn't really a spoiler. This is just a thing. 10 is very fucking old. He's like almost borderline Siren's age. He's a little younger than her, but they're around the same-ish age. And so, in the time he was raised in, which was also very common back in the the Middle Ages, 10 was the product of not someone being unfaithful, but of a parent who was very, very young, willingly, but young, had an affair with somebody, got pregnant, died in childbirth, and so now his family, which were his grandparents, 10's grandparents, were forced to raise this bastard kid, which, you think it's bad now raising a bastard. Back then it was like super shameful. Even more so that their daughter died in childbirth bringing in this kid. So 10, in a way, he's really young compared to Kai when his stuff sort of happens. But he was dark-skinned, he had really light-colored hair, and it's also because of the culture he's in. The country 10's based off of is a, fantasy version of Russian and Germany. And that being said, since it's a fantasy world, I messed with the, actual, cultural traits of people, so that way, genetics would make sense because it's a fantasy world. Our genetics don't really count as well over there. So, hence why you can have a dark-skinned blonde. I mean, Morgan's is pretty much the same way, so,
fucking people have gradient hair in my world.
Yeah.
That just happens.
Yeah, and so 10 was forced to join the military at a very, very young age because it was drop him off in an orphanage or throw him in the military. Throw him in the fucking military. So that's why it really kind of messed with him because he's had to do this stuff since he was a kid. And 10, like Kai, is very artistic. It's just, and this is just a fun fact on him. It's not a big story beat, so I don't feel bad saying this for 10. But he's an extremely talented artist, but he was an artist forced in a field where it wasn't important. There's actually this really sweet scene where, Kai is trying to get him into music, and 10 just, draws out what he's describing because he can't, they don't know what it is. And Kai looks, he's like, this is really good. And he's like...
I remember because you said that was, would have been the first time 10's ever had a
yeah. Because I also gave 10 that I don't want to call it a disease, but it's a disorder where, you have a very graphic photographic memory. So that's why he can also draw really well, is because he, remembers everything that he's had to do and see and everything, so...
Yeah, but the reason I remember this day so vividly was because we kept discovering more and more...
Yeah, we,
time.
Yeah, we just stopped...
and I was in, animation, and I couldn't... I was, I could not even... I was, I was having a moment in animation trying to do my stuff. And it's, because we never realized this, because even before this, we already had a thing going on where it was we have the AU thing where it's what if in each of our worlds we had the opposite of one each another with each other's characters. And I even remember for them we were coming up with hypotheticals of what their AU would be.
Yeah. Oh, and Tetsu's was Titania.
Yeah, Tetsu's was Tanya. I love Tanya so much.
Yeah.
I swear I'm probably gonna make her a comic at some point.
Yeah,
just
she's terrible. Not in a mean way. She actually sucks. She's a really bad
Yeah, she does. But yeah, and then so we were having that. So we're doing this and realizing we're oh my god, saying that they're AUs of each other the whole time, and it was and it gets even worse considering the fact that 10 broke Kai's neck at one point in the story in Crackland. So it's it was a day, that was for sure. It was a time of a lot of screaming.
And so back to the whole point of this conversation, how we started.
Yes.
Was Tetsu. Now keep in mind, no one would know what 10's human form looked like at all. So, and since he went from being a 7'4" beast to a small, swole man.
A small man with abs.
Yeah, and he's covered in scars. So, that's another big thing. 10 wears a lot of, really covered up outfits because he's, really covered in scars. That's because, and I pulled this picture up, whenever he transforms, it looks like this. Also amazing art from Bessie K. So, it's not a very painful thing. I mean, it's a very painful thing. It's not nice. You don't want to transform when you're not a natural-born dragon. So, he got a lot of ouchies. 10 got a lot of ouchies. So, Noelle comes up, she's a doctor, and she's like, oh, what the, this poor man is, in so much pain. how are you alive? Like, she's freaking out because by all normal standards, Ten shouldn't be alive.
Yep.
And so, um, and then Tetsu comes up, and Tetsu's like, wait, I know these scars. And that's kind of like she and Ten had this, like, kind of really awkward, like, reunion. Because now Ten's a human, and it's like, oh, I'm kind of with somebody. Like, it was really awkward all around. And so, like, stuff happens, Ten gets changed back, and, like, she kind of, like, sits down with Anthony and Ten, and the best part is, like, neither of them are, like, because that's the funny thing we made fun of this love triangle, was both of the guys understood if she left him for the other one. They weren't, like, they would have been sad.
It was
but it was, like, a
because
very...
I made fun of the fact that like every time we'd start doing this, she'd be like, I hate love triangles. And I'm just
And then we made one ironically, and I'm like, how? I hate it.
It's like we didn't intend to make one; it just kind of happened, and it was. But it's like the most mature love triangle that's ever existed. Because it's just like all of them were adults acting like adults, and it's like.
So Tetsu kind of called it off on both of them. She's like, I still want to be friends, but I need time. And they both were like, oh, that's better than either of us were expecting. So this works out. And then Gabe had to come along and hug her, and because
somebody told Gabe that Tetsu wanted more family, she can't have.
Yeah, it's because Tetsu.
Don't you dare tell him that something's impossible.
Yeah, I mean that's how he's got a daughter now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, and then Tetsu's like pregnant. She's like, no, that can't be possible. I can't be pregnant. And then like she's doing math, and she's like, oh, it has to be Anthony's. I've only been with him. So she talks to Anthony. And she's like, so I'm pregnant. And he's kind of like, oh. And he has this, like, really sweet... I remember because he, like... I think you said, like, his hair started smoking and stuff, too. Because he was, like, really, like... He was super happy, but also, like, weird because he's like, oh, we just kind of broke up.
Yeah, well, it's like... it's funny because I think at first, the way I'm pretty sure what happened was, like, at first he was just kind of, like... neutral, like not giving anything away, and he's asking like, so like, are you happy about that, or is that okay with you, or whatever? And then like she just responded like, I don't know, like, are you happy? And he's like, yes, this is amazing for me. Like I'm super happy about it. Like I know we broke up, but
We're
just
still
like
friends.
if you want to I'll help raise it, whatever, like whatever you need. So it was sweet.
And then, skip to the baby shower. She's still technically not with either of them, but they're both kind of there.
Yeah, they're around, you know.
I think that's really funny, because they both still like her, but they're like, and by both I mean Ten and Anthony. And so, they're like, I still want to be with her. This is weird for everybody. And I think I should emphasize, Ten and Anthony are both very straight, so they're not like a poly relationship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they are by technicality, like they are
technicality, but not like
they're poly in the same way like Robin, Sparrow, and Elliot are poly.
Yeah, exactly. Because even though two of them aren't related, they're like, you're still my brother. That's gross.
Yeah, like I was still raised with you, you know.
Like no zone. We're good.
Yeah,
we'll share the husband, not each other, but him. We're good.
He just gets extra.
Yeah. So there's a complication with the birth, and then Ten actually saves the day, and Ten kind of makes Noel have an issue because he had a reason, and Ten, like I was explaining, is an asshole. So, like, he kind of chews Noelle out. He's like, you're freezing. She's gonna die. Fucking do something. You know, you're the best doctor in the world, but you freeze up when shit happens, and so he ends up saving...
I felt bad, because I'm sure what Noelle was thinking is just like, I don't usually have, like, people I know really well die. Like, you know...
Yeah, like, this is someone I've known for a long time.
Yeah, and, like, the first friends I've kind of had, like, the close friends I've had years, they can't die. Like...
Yeah. It's like, oh, mortality's a thing. Wonderful. And so Sorry, I'm like not drawing right now, and we're just talking about Crackman stuff. But I've also got to wrap it up in like 10 minutes. I feel bad, but like I realize Cody's gonna leave
No, that's
soon.
fine.
So
I mean, I might, depending if my mom gets back, we might watch Survivor. So, yeah.
I don't have cable. I can't watch it anymore.
Or we'll watch it tomorrow. I know. This season's so good though. It's so good.
It's gonna be forever till I have cable, so I'm not gonna be
I
able to watch
love
it for
it.
like that quite. Anyway,
Someday you will, and we can talk about it.
I know, I miss Survivor. I miss it so much. So anyway, Nios is born. Everything's hunky dory. They're still not in a relationship yet, so it's still kind of awkward. And I think at that time Tetsu was just kind of like bumming it at her house and Zoella's castle, like both ways. And that's when I remember like Iodine and Zoella are like, they were the little Mexican.
That's when they weave their ways in.
Yeah, they were. They were the Mexican commercial of the like, why not have both?
Yeah, I know. Just
That's exactly what I thought of. Is just that little girl just like, why not have both? And everyone's all fucking happy. It's so bad, but that's all I can think of. And I remember Tetsu was like,
it's even worse because we've decided that like Zoella's Hispanic, so
yeah, so it's even better.
she's Hispanic grandma.
So see, it's not racist if she. It's terrible. So
Hallelujah. Love her. I can't wait for her to be in the comic.
Oh, she's gonna be so much fun.
I'm so excited.
And so she and Iodine are like, oh yeah, we'll talk about it and we'll be fine, And so they end up chatting and they kind of convince her, they're like, no, this is a thing that happens if they're okay with it. And so
just like you can do that, boo. Like you can. Like
yeah, just ask, see if they're okay. And like again, you gotta remember where Tetsu's from. This isn't normal. Like that isn't a thing where she is from. So she like is kind of in this weird like I care about them both in like completely different ways, and I don't want to lead them on. So they all have this like talk, and then they all kind of just come with an agreement where they're like, "Oh, okay, so I get you for half the week, and I get you for half the week." And
as well, they're just like, when we get you that last day.
Exactly, we get that last day to get the cheese, that hot cheese make. So
that little extra day.
So then they all like just kind of agree with it, and then they're in this good little poly relationship, and they also did it too to help like their kids not be separated because Nios and Naya are related, so they didn't want to have it be like Naya lives with me.
Yeah, plus like because because Nios and Naya during that time were like together, so
yeah.
Now they're attached to one another.
Mm-hmm. It's like he's mine. He's my brother. I'm not taking him away.
This is my brother. I am his sister. That is the end of the story.
Yep. And then it ends up going that way, and Quais. I just have to remind myself that Tetsu's gone. Currently in Crackland, Tetsu is no longer there. She and Ted passed away, and Anthony's got some issues, but it's okay. It's okay. He's
getting solved ever so slowly.
Slow. He still has some issues. Just a bit.
Of course, as anyone would when it's not even a year after it all happened.
Yeah. That's what I think is so great, though. Is just the whole like, do you really take him everywhere? What? Of course not. Takes him everywhere.
It's just Anthony. I think he might have some attachment issues to Seyoung here, and he's just like, "What are you talking about? Take him everywhere you go. It's educational. He's a baby, Anthony. Like
he's a baby. All he does
never too young to learn.
All they do is sleep and all they do is sleep, eat, and poo. That's it. Like babies are pretty basic at that time. It's like no. Babies at this age are the most. They need to be stimulated.
See, that's the conversation he's having with Aaron, while April's on the side like, well, fine, if you can bring a child to these meetings, I'm gonna bring one too. Just watch me.
I'm a fight.
Oh, well, let's go.
Yeah, and it's one of those like, who said? Oh, I can see this too. It's such a sassy, terrible comeback, but it'd make him win every argument, and it'd be like, oh yeah, says who? Oh, my dead wife. She believes that with our kid. It would be one of those like. Damn it! I can't
argue back with that.
You can't play that card, man. That's not cool.
Like, come on, man. Oh goodness, it'll be. Oh gosh, now I'm just thinking about Honey again.
I know. I'm so excited. So you should explain Honey because I'm gonna have to leave.
Oh god.
Leave
See, okay. Well, I know I needed to ask. I feel like because I mean, part of me feels like I should play Honey just because I want them to be able to interact with
Yeah,
each
no, I
other.
was thinking, go ahead, you play Honey,
Yeah,
because
okay,
you designed
so
her.
cause
Oh, oh my
it's
god.
just I don't know why it came to my head. Like I was sitting there like I have nothing else to do, and my mind just started wandering, and I was like, she needs to be like as excitable and as puppy doggish as possible. Like yes, but so anyway, for anyone who wants to know, for anyone who's actually still paying attention to what we're saying at this point, um,
I'll throw the picture
but
up now.
like uh
So I went to
we
see I
because
went to see Spoderman yesterday, and then
Ye.
Morgan surprised me
So
with
like while
this.
while she was there, I was sitting there trying to think of what to draw. So because Seong is the next Earth Mage, and all of Mitchie's Earth Mages get a familiar at some point in their life when they need it most,
Mm-hmm.
we were thinking like, okay, well he'll have to have one too. And so my idea, I guess, was that like, okay, but what if it was like because Seong he has eye problems and he can't see very well, so he's like legally blind. He's not blind, like Anthony is, but he can't see very well.
Yeah, and I
Um,
picture he'd have like some mean light sensitivity.
Yi.
So it would also explain the
So
darked out
I was just
glasses.
yeah. So he would so I was like, okay, but what if you got a dog that's like not a seeing eye dog, but like, it's basically the equivalent of it's like symbolic for that,
Yeah.
where it's like the helpful dog that helps him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was sitting there last night thinking about it because from what I picked up, and I was luckily correct in this assumption, the familiars are always whatever their master needs most at that time.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, like, okay, what if at whatever time that this happens, Seyoung's just like he's taking things too seriously. He's like starting to just be grumpy and whatever, and what all that good stuff. So I'm like, okay, so what if this dog is like the most like excitable, like
It's Doug.
protective
She's
and
Doug.
happy and like
She's
she's Doug from Up. That's what she is. And so I'm like, I need to draw this. And I wasn't sure what her human form would look like, so I was just like, I'll just doodle some bullshit.
and we're still designing her human form because it's gonna be. Young's a baby, and even then, it's gonna be a long time before he finds her. So.
Oh yeah, until like she actually becomes self-aware.
Yeah.
But before he actually starts having issues.
Yeah.
But she's just a really good puppy dog who is just really productive, like protective, and has to remind Seyoung that he loves her every 5 minutes.
Because yeah, that's the thing. Like Kamino, Tetsu's familiar, her snake. His human form, which I've never technically posted a bio like publicly. He's not hidden or anything.
Yeah.
I've just changed his design compared to what he is on DA. So, she didn't actually make his human form until she was like 16-ish, because that's how familiars work. For how familiars work, and only an Earth Mage can have a familiar. It's like a special thing with them. And it usually is an animal, but I mean, technically it could be an insect, but it'd be kind of weird. But it is. It's whatever they need in that lifetime. And so with Tetsu, she needed like a mature, mentor-y type of personality.
Yeah, and then
which is
Seyoung,
why,
on the other hand, needs constant moral support.
yeah, because he's gonna have some issues.
And so now he'll get a puppy who's gonna remind him she loves him every 5 minutes. And
like I said, the best
also
part is gonna be just like I said, because familiars can like phase into their master's skin. So I picture like as a kid to hide her, he'd like do like hiding under his shirt thing. So he would like put her under his shirt and be like, "Oh, it's never gonna fire." It just kind of like sucks in, and he's just like, "This is weird." And then she's like on the inside, like, "Oh, we're together now." And he's just like, "Oh,
just like
this
I
is...
am hidden.
Yeah,
no one can find me.
And so it'd be one of those like really awkward, like, "This is weird. This is very, very weird." And Anthony fucking comes in. "I thought I heard a dog." No,
No, of course not.
What?
But she's a stray puppy that just Seyoung finds, and then she's just like, I don't know who you are, but I love you. Like,
I love you, and I must
it's like
protect.
I think probably the best definition of her character is just like imagine Seyoung's just trying to, like he's just trying to sleep, god damn it, and then like Honey's just there like master, 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 master. And he's just like, oh, what, Honey? And she's like, I love you.
I also think it's great. The reason why I picked Honey for a name is because I'm like, Tetsu names Kamino after her favorite spice. So I was was like, what if we just kept the trend with food?
It's perfect.
I mean,
Just
we
honey.
couldn't do that with oh fuck, what did I name him? Adachi, I think is what I named him. The really really old one, the one from Tetsu's
Yeah,
time. I mean,
yeah.
not Tetsu's
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. I remember Tiny Owl Child.
Yeah, he named his literally like it's literally Owl. Her name is just Owl.
Yeah.
So like it's in a different
It's
language,
his
but it's
favorite
fucking
fight.
Owl. And that's just
Oh,
it too. The age of the familiars like personality body is whatever they picture at the time. So like Tetsu pictured this was kind of her fault. She didn't think anything about it. She was like, I want him to be like the perfect epitome of a male, right? Because he's perfect. He's a great teacher. And then she's like, oh no, he's hot. I made him a hot man. So you picture that Seung would make like a very, very energetic teenager, but she would be
Yeah,
like,
she's just eternally a teenager who's ready to go.
yeah, just like with Adashi's little owl girl was he had issues too. I haven't thought much of his story besides a couple things, so it's not really much there. But I was like, oh yeah, so he had his be a child because he wanted a best friend, and he was a kid when he made her shift, and so it was one of those like now she's just stuck as a kid, but she's not a kid. And another thing I need to emphasize: there is not a sexual relationship with the familiars and their masters, because it's kind of gross in a lot of senses.
It'd be just weird, like...
Yeah, like, especially for Tetsu, because she's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Pyth. What were you saying? I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry."
Ah, we're both being bad at paying attention to
I
this.
know. I got pretty far done though. I might finish this off. So I'm gonna have to finish this off stream, but I got a lot done in this stream for the Secret Santa before we went down to Crackland Hell.
But I had to deal with the chat like yeeting for 20
Fucking
minutes. I know,
sorry.
that was madness.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pyth. Love you. You're a good mod. Smatches.
I was saying something a second ago.
Was Young? Oh, I think his name's Seung, by the way.
Seeing.
I believe I'm not Korean. He's Korean. Oh, finger quote Korean. It's not racist. He's like his culture's based off of Korean culture. So
I mean, technically Cassandra named him, but that's besides the point. Anyway.
Hey, she wanted to be right.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, technically speaking, for some reason, the way I've almost kind of seen it in, with like my mage towers is for some reason just their names, like, there's nothing cultural about them. It's just names.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's why, like,
I mean, but for
April is like she's 100% Asian and her name is April. So, like,
it also makes sense in that aspect because your mages, like, their culture is the mages. Like, it's a completely different lifestyle than other people.
There ain't no race for the mages.
Exactly. That's what I like about your mages, though, is like they're their own little cultures and ecosystems in their towers.
They're their own race, is what they are. I mean,
technically,
technically they are a race. Actually,
technically they are.
They're not a species. They're a race because genetic. So
yeah, so by technicality, their race is mage. They're not human. Their race is mage.
Yeah. They're humans, but their race is mage.
You gotta change that now on those bios when you post them. Out. When you have game, you can't put human. You gotta put mage.
Yep. Oh goodness. But yeah. So, I'm so excited, and then I'm excited for for Stephanie and Sage.
Oh god.
Which I'm so excited.
Master Aaron, what? Fire hands! Why?
Just like, Sage, like, see, now you're making me regret actually picking you while you were young, like I was do. Like,
hey, come on, give me a standing ovation. Oh right, I can't clap. What's bad is since she's
she
got
just
like
stomps her feet.
Yeah, since she's got like the fire hands thing, I picture like. You know that sizzling sound of like metal hitting fire? I picture like if she were to clap, it's just that like sound.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? What is that? She's like, I'm clapping. I don't have hands.
Oh, I love her because it's like I just I'm so excited. And now I'm think it's good. I think it'll be cute. Tessa and Stephanie are like best friends.
It is. It'll be adorable. I think it'd be great. Ugh,
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
it'll be so cute. I
Also, something I think is
gotta
really
figure.
funny. Real quick before we end
Yeah,
off, because I am gonna have to go
right.
soon.
Yeah.
Sorry, Stram. I'm gonna have to leave soon. But I love the idea of Tessa trying to get into the mage lifestyle of like just not really having a relationship, sleeping around and caring about insects, and her dad is like, no, 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 do as I say, not as I do, and she's just like, what kind of double standard is that? That's not fair. He's like, I am your father. You will listen to me. Yeah. And what's the number at now, Dad? And Shios is like, oh, she got our sass. You're not helping.
It's just like, oh, she stop.
I think it'd be great because I don't know why I see this in my head. It'd be really funny of Nios being like, it's different. She'd be like, oh, why? Because I'm a girl. So you're sexist now, Dad? And he's like, what? No, no, it's not. I no. It's just like, it has nothing to do with your girl. She's like, but it does have to do with me being a girl because girls can get pregnant and guys can't. So who knows? I could have siblings all over the place. And you're only now just thinking about it. And he's like, where did you get to be so smart? I got it from you!
Then fucking Cassandra shows up like, listen, as her like stand-in mother here, I just say
I just want to see, I have many guys she can go out with. He's not helping!
it's just like many of them.
Many, but I do. I have good taste. I mean, I brought you Helena, and he's like,
I'm good at the matchmaking thing, as we have established multiple times. May I present you and Helena? Like,
I thought she was dead! Like, this isn't a good match!
I thought she was dead. Well, that was not my doing. Like,
Yeah. She didn't want to be a mother, and that's fine. She can be rent to womb. I don't care. Alright, hold on real quick. Hey, honey. Not much. I'm finishing up my Strom right now. Say hi.
hey, woo.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm already dressed. I'll end the stream and pack my bag and stuff, so. I love you. Bye. Alright, guys, so I gotta end the Strom, because, yeah, Cody will be here in, like, less than 20.
Yay.
So, but this was fun. Friday night, Strom night.
Yay, I can finally be here for a stream.
I know. Hopefully, next week Bree will have her Pastel will have her power back, so we can do that. And Morgan, if you're free next Friday too, you can always pop into our streams. I mean, our friends are willing to pop in. Holly, Quan, you guys, we can all just. It's not just me and Bree doing it. You guys are always welcome to do it. All right.
Yeah, no.
Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for helping me get most
Thanks
of my
for
work done.
listening to this has been a wild ride.
Yep, this has been a wild ride. Woo, woo. Friday night, Strom night. So,
Woo.
thanks, guys. And I will be streaming again tomorrow, just not art, for my Patreon live stream if you guys are going to stick around for that. So, I'll leave you guys. Excuse me? Let's leave you guys here. Love you all. Smatches.